Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning, as I hope and I wish and I pray that we always do. Got a great conversation that we're going to have today, and we'd love to have each and every one of you to participate in the broadcast. Brandy, if you're available, give us a call. And everybody, if you're available, give us a call. We definitely are open to you all input on what we're talking about today. All you have to do is dial 508. Thought forgot about the number for a second. Wow. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We definitely would love to have your input. I'm going to ask a question today. Before we get started, we got a lot of people that's going to be with us today, and hopefully Big O, we'll have some of you all to join us as well. I'm starting to get a great response from each and every one of you. Good morning, Andy. As you all come in and the show goes on, please don't take it personal, but I don't get an opportunity to actually acknowledge each and every one of you when you come on because I have to stay kind of focused on what we're doing here. So don't take it personal if I don't acknowledge you when you come in. We hang a happy elephant, elated, and porcupine proud that each one of you are here with us on a daily basis or as often as you have an opportunity to come back. Know that we're here every day. We're here every day, Monday through Friday, from 7 o'clock until 10 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely you're more than welcome on any of those days that we are here to come in and be a part of the conversation. Now, I ran into something just the other day, and I want to talk to you all about it. I ran it, as a matter of fact, I'm going to try to find the clip that I saw. I think it was actually on TikTok. And a young lady was asking a question, a young African American lady. She had to be about maybe about 24, 25, in that age range. And she asked a very interesting question. And I had to sit back and I had to ponder the question for a second. Asked a few people, and now I'm gonna ask you all. She asked the question of the world. She said, I'm not gonna just ask this question of the United States, I want to ask this question of the world. And her question was a very simple one, yet it was so complicated. She said, what did black people do? She said, tell me, please help her understand. What did black people do? Well, she said black and brown people do, but she was really stressing on the black part of it. She said, what did black people? I'm hearing an echo. Let me turn this off right here. Rico, can you hear echo?
Yeah, it's like not much, but it's like
Okay, okay. Let me see. Turn your volume. I think I heard it when your line came on. So turn your volume down just a little bit if you can.
I'm just talking on my phone. I can't.
Okay, got you. Okay. Let me see. I turn this part off right here. That should stop the echo. Let me see here. Whether that makes a difference. Did that make a difference? Echo.
Oh yeah, that did it.
Okay, yeah. It was that line that the other line that I'm using over there. But Rico, and good morning, brother. How you doing this morning?
Man, I can't complain, man. Just late, but I'm just still getting it in, man. Just glad to see another beautiful day.
There you go. Rico, I was looking at a TikTok and this young lady asked a question. Now that's why I was actually explaining the question that she asked. And she asked it of the world. She said, I'm not gonna just ask of the United States because this is something that's across the world. She said black and brown people, but her emphasis was on black people. And she asked this question, Rico, and I found it very interesting. She said, what did black people do to be so hated throughout the world? She said, we were brought here to America in the way that we was brought here in chains and shackles and treated the way that we've been treated, enslaved, and all these things that was done to us. But what did we do as black people? What did black people do to be so hated in the world that the world, it seemed like every part of the world has such a hate for black people? She asked that question, Rico. How would you respond to that?
As the person that she's asking the question to.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the question itself, that question, what did we do as black people to be so hated throughout the world?
I mean, I can't answer that. I'd like to know the same question. I mean,
Exactly.
because from the minute I recognized that I was alive and existing, and then I had to share this place with other people and interact with other human beings, I didn't really recognize or pay attention to a color thing until, I might have noticed differences in people,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't understand that was a difference in how people were treated. I just might have noticed that there was a difference in skin tone or eye shape,
Mm-hmm.
with Asians or whatever. The first time I saw an Asian person, I was like, well, why they look different?
Mm-hmm.
It's like even if you see a person with Down syndrome, why they look different?
Mm-hmm.
So I just had a curiosity why people look different, but I didn't understand that that was a class or a rank
Mm-hmm.
in place. I didn't know there was a superiority or we were supposed to be better than, I didn't understand that. So it was a culture shock. Not only a culture shock, a nature shock.
Mm-hmm.
That concept, when it first came across my presence,
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what is this?
Mm-hmm.
And so that question right there would be a similar question that I would ask, because I definitely couldn't answer that question. It's completely dysfunctional. It has no logic to me.
Mm-hmm.
When you you share a planet with these people and you're supposed to be so intelligent enough to understand science, and we want to understand how all this thing began, but we don't even understand what it takes to make sure we preserve it, because we want to fight each other and go to war with each other and persecute and enslave each other,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
exterminate people. I mean, man, to not care about life, or to put people in categories and say, well, you know what, since y'all got a different skin color or y'all look differently, we're going to kill y'all.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
We're just going to take y'all life and make sure that not only do we kill you, but we make sure that you everything that look like you doesn't exist anymore. We're going to make y'all go extinct.
Mm-hmm.
People
Wow.
that look like you. That's not logical to me. Maybe when they thought this was only the only place in the universe and the earth was flat, maybe I can understand them thinking like that back then, or when they didn't have any kind of sentient thinking to have technology. But now that we have technology, we're supposed to be civilized, and then we know that there are other planets and other galaxies and stars that can have planets that have life on them, and we
Mm-hmm.
still on this planet trying to extinguish life. They want to extend it. Some of them want to live forever, but at the same time, they don't want others to live.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. So
Exactly.
I wouldn't be able to answer that question, but I can understand that question being asked, because that's a question that I've always asked.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And see, and that's the thing, and you said in what you were saying, humane. Is that even a humane? Is that even a humane way of thinking? That I'm gonna hate this person because they look different, or I'm gonna treat this. And look at we should be the ones, truth of the matter, we should be the ones that should be so angry because all these atrocities they were thrust upon us. They did these things to us, but yet and still they want to treat us like we are, like they're gonna be treated or act as if they were the victims and we did something so terrible to them. Rico, I don't understand it. I could say that that's almost like a mental defect for someone to treat somebody so bad for so long and then try to turn it around and make it seem as though if they are the victim and that person that has been victimized has treated them so bad, and so they hate them because they treated them so bad. That could be a mental issue.
It definitely is to me. If you ask me, to just label a group of people as deviant or unintelligent, uncivilized, we just ain't no help for us. Same thing they said about the natives that were here
Mm-hmm.
before they came and did what they did. They had all these observations and opinions about how intelligent these people were. They had people come around and try to measure brains. Oh, our brains are bigger, so our skulls are bigger, so we're smarter. And all this different stuff, man. You know, and when you start thinking about it, anytime either a group or even one person had to start, I'm gonna say, sizing up the other people, comparing and competing. That word competing, that's where it starts. It's somewhere somebody came up with a concept in their mind that they needed to compete with these people. Maybe it was for resources, maybe it was for, women, whatever it was. Somebody felt like they had to compete. And if you have to compete, put yourself in a situation where you have to compete with another tribe or another group or species or whatever, sooner or later, if you are the weaker, this might hurt some people feeling because they want to say, well, I hate to hear that. That sounds racist. But when you start talking about dominant genetics and people not wanting to be those that they despise, they might want to preserve theirs. They might want to preserve their genetics. So, you start looking at the logic of wanting to defeat other people. It's because you feel they are a threat. But when these people aren't a threat to you, you're trying to implement or put the narrative out there that they are a threat. Somewhere in your mind, you feel like you need to preserve your parcel or whatever it is, whatever it is you're trying to preserve, you got to protect that. And so I think that spirit of competition for resources, and then on top of it, just in the long run, just to know that your species exists, you may try to wipe out another species. But I think it mainly goes down to resources and control.
Wow. And I can even look at that, man. More to control another individual. I can even look at that as being a sickness. We got Mr. Hicks with us this morning. Mr. Hicks, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem. Good morning, family.
Mr. Hicks, asking a question, and I ran across this video. I think, if I'm not mistaken, it was on TikTok, and a young lady, African American young lady, I would say between 24 maybe and 25. I don't think she was 26. I don't think she was that old. But she asked a very interesting question. And she said, I'm going to ask this question. First, she said the United States, but then she said, I want to ask it of the world. And she asked this question. I found it very, very interesting. Why do the world hate black? Well, she said black and brown, but she was emphasizing black people. Why do they hate black people so much? Why do the world hate black people so much? She said, we're the ones that were treated so bad throughout history. We're the one that was brought over here on slave ships in the belly of the ship, with feces and all kinds. She went into detail. She said, we're the one that has been treated so badly throughout the phases of time, but yet and still everybody found a way to hate black people so much. She said, why? Mr. Hicks, why do you think it is? Why do the world, and I have to say, like she said, the world, because why do they hate black people so much?
It's rooted in Darwin's theory of survival of the fittest, and the favored races. I think that everything is rooted around the belief that the Aryan race is superior than all the other races. And that philosophy is integrated into all the systems. That's when you talk about critical racism. They talk about that. In essence, they're talking about this element, the element that, for the very origins of this civilization, this current civilization is based off of Darwin's theory. And the eugenics movement didn't just focus on us. It's focused on what they call the cracker, which is a historical thing coming out of Europe. And it basically, if you didn't own property. So although the hatred is for black folks in particular because of that system, but it's for all the other races up to that. And the attack is constant until that core, to the very core, is attacked and restructured about the origins of the races. That's what it's all about.
Wow. Wow. And see, like I said in the Rico earlier, the mindset of an individual that treats somebody so bad for so long and then try to make themselves into the victim and make it seem like the other person that treated them so bad. I think, Mr. Hicks, and we got a couple of people on the phone. I don't want to go to them as well, but I think that's a mental defect. I think there's a mental issue
for
there.
Sure. For sure, for sure. You know, when you're training to go to war, all through the basic training, every step along the way is humanizing the enemy. We march and we say things like, "We don't care. Viet Cong is there to do it," and you have to make the enemy the wrong guy. You got to reverse the situation ahead that you are the victim. Which you find happen now with the replacement kind of theory. Now the mind naturally defends itself and it says, okay, the black folks, look what they did, and they go to emphasis. They'll point out different things to justify their position. But the ironic thing that all through the course of history, there have been people on both sides, white and blacks, that didn't fall for this and fought against it. See, and they suffered. But the battle's still on.
Yeah. And it's amazing, like Rico said earlier, man, it's amazing that in this age of technology that we're in right now, with everything all the access that we have to different things, we can still have that mindset and not research or find out the truth. Find out the truth. Let me go to Cassandra. Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Cassandra, I'm asking a question that I saw if I'm not mistaken, I think it was on TikTok. I'm gonna try to find. I think I emailed it to myself. I'm gonna try to find it and play it and play her absolute question that she asked. But she's a young girl, probably like I said, 24, 25 years old. But she asked a very interesting question. She asked why, and I'm just gonna emphasize on the black part because she said black and brown, but her emphasis was really on black. So I'm just gonna keep it there. She said, why do the world? She didn't just say America. She said the world hate black people so much when we're the one that was treated so bad throughout the annals of history. We're the ones that were treated so bad, enslaved, brought over here on the belly of slave ships, treated so terrible throughout the times, but yet and still, we're the one that the world seemed to hate so much. Cassandra, why is that?
Yeah, I believe it goes back. It's more spiritual to me than anything else. I know, we can find different things that we want to put in there, but it's a spiritual thing, and for a lot of white people, the Bible says to hate that which is evil, and the white community, not all, many in the white community has demonized black people from the very beginning of the placing of time. We were evil. They found something. I don't care what it was. When it was Germany, they told the women that the men had tails and, boom, 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 and they were rapists. And, it's always been something that made us evil. They needed to portray something that made us evil. And to me, that goes into your spirit. If you keep hearing something over and over and over and over again, you begin to believe it. Whether it's the truth or not, you don't even try to research, investigate anything. And that's why I always say, if you want to know who a person is, you have to communicate with that person. Yes. You can't go by what somebody tell you. I don't care if it's your mama, your dad, it doesn't matter. Try to get to hold a conversation with the very people that you say you hate, or they ain't no good, or they all evil. Try to hold a conversation, and you know what I'm saying. That's just my theory.
Yeah, and but just to go on a blind thought that they're evil and they're no good and blah, or whatever the mindset is, just to go on something like that. And Cassandra, you being a counselor, is it a mental issue involved in that? Because if you treat somebody so bad for so long and then you try to flip it, I had to say it like that, you try to flip it and then make it seem like you're the victim. Cassandra, is that a mental issue?
Absolutely. We can't listen. What goes into your spirit becomes a part of you, right? So it becomes a part of your mental, your physical. That means even our physical reactions, or their physical reactions to us sometimes is amazing. Like I said this before, years ago, I got on the elevator and I'm a black woman dressed in a business suit. This older white woman is on there, and she clung her purse and moved over to the corner. What the heck? I was like, did she just do that?
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? It was mentally ingrained, even though I was a professional woman in a business suit, looking better than her. The fact that a black woman, and it was just her, stepped on the elevator, she clutched her purse close and moved over to a corner.
Wow.
Yes, it's men as well.
Wow. That's so it's so unfortunate that is the mindset. Instead of having a conversation with you, like you said earlier, having a conversation and dialoguing with you, she chose to take that route. She chose to take that route. Brother Pete, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning? Pete,
Doing good this morning. How you doing, sir?
Hey, doing
DKM
good.
Radio, Morning Glow, panelists, and audience, Facebook.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Pete, I know you heard the question, brother, and I really need to hear your heart on this, brother. Why is it that they find a reason, whatever it is, reaching out into whatever they're reaching out to, trying to find a reason to justify them hating us so much? Why do the world hate black people so much?
Well, when you want to dominate a people, there's a concept called order out of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
You frame narratives, you create scenarios, you plant seeds of thought and perspectives to manipulate the masses in a direction to benefit your small group agenda.
Mm-hmm.
So when you talk about, you ask the question, why do they hate us so much? Number one, most of these folk around the world know more about melanated people than they know about themselves. They're so busy just living their life until they don't even carry the culture and the history of their lineage. They just live their lives. They're not even aware that this happened and that happened and this is this and this is that. Folks around the world know it. Number one. So there go your first problem.
Mm-hmm.
Well, maybe your third problem. The other issue is the fact that when you talk about the lowness of man's existence, acclimating, digesting, accepting, operating in, existing in, fully determined in the lower standpoints of your whole existence, then I don't know why we're shocked that we're seeing these type of things. It shouldn't shock you when people align themselves with the lowest of the low, the least of the worst of the worst, the smallest, the most insignificant becomes the greatest issue to them and their being. When you talk about Europeans, Caucasians, the greatest point for them to live is to achieve their goals.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about melanated folks, their greatest point in living is to have camaraderie, brotherhood, community. That's their greatest point of living. So you need to know these things and you'll better understand why these things are like that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Now, when you get off into genetics and you get off into history, you get off into science, you get off into territories and resources, you see another reason why folks might not like you. You look at the continent of what we call Africa today, a very rich continent, full of pretty much everything that, pretty much nothing that you need on earth to do anything that's not found there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's there? Issue. And it's past time for the melanated folk in North, South, Central America to realize they ain't African American, they ain't Negro, they ain't black, they ain't colored. You have an ethnicity and a nationality, and you need to figure out who you are. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So look here. This is a land of milk and honey too.
Yeah.
Who was here?
Mm-hmm.
You want to know why people hate you? Could it be jealousy? Could it be envy? Everything's spiritual in its origination, looking more like you than anything else. Everything, all of it, period, throughout the annals of two-legged human beings walking around is looking like you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know that. A whole bunch of folks know that. You think maybe that's some of the reason why? You think maybe it's because when you look at these people, even the fat ones, even the skinny ones, even the this and that ones, they still just have a beauty, elegance in their essence of being that's there, and everybody see it. We're not comparing. You can find beauty in all forms. Stop playing. You hard pressed. The most unattractive one of us that you would say is unattractive. Sit there and look at them and tell me that they ain't attractive.
Wow.
It's a whole lot of reasons to the why. Whole lot of reasons to the why. But I'm gonna get out there. Good morning, Marquita. How you doing this morning? Welcome to Morning Glow. We love you, lady. We appreciate you calling me. Listen,
Absolutely, absolutely.
I want us to understand. Let's stop trying to make sense out of stuff that don't make sense, and let's stop tolerating nonsense. How about that? How about you what they say, you can hit the road, Jack? If the earth was flat, you could walk to the end and take a jump. Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Let me go to Miss Marquita. Marquita, good morning. How you doing this morning?
End and take a jump. Yeah.
Good morning. I'm doing all right. Woke up a little late, but it's a blessing to be up.
Absolutely, absolutely. Marquita, I'm gonna ask you a question. I want to hear your whole heart when you answer me this question. I saw a young lady on TikTok, if I'm not mistaken, but she asked a very interesting question, and I'm gonna pose that same question to you. Why do you think it is that the world hate Black people the way that they do? She said that we've been one that's been mistreated throughout the annals of time. We've been enslaved, brought over here in the belly of ships, had to lay in our own feces and all kind of stuff all the way as we got here to America, and still to this day is not treated justly. But yet and still, the world find a way to hate us and treat us so bad. Marquita, why do you think that is?
It's for me, I guess it's kind of hard to say, but I believe I'm gonna first say, because first of all, we're very different, towards from the other races. But I think the reason why it goes on today, I can speak about that, because we continue to have that mindset, that they posed on us from way back. So I think that's the reason why they continue to treat us that way, because we keep showing up that way.
Wow.
Until we change, people will look at us different, and they won't put us in that box, because I've, had relationships with other races, and I didn't see them that way, and the ones that I came in contact with, they didn't see me that way, And hey, I don't know if it's because of the color of my skin. I'm Black, but I'm mixed, but I'm Black. So I don't know, but I think it's just a mindset thing. That until we change and show up a different way, people are not gonna see us no different.
Marquita, if you don't mind, I'm gonna be the question asker for a second, so don't take anything personal what I'm about to say to you. I'm saying it all out of love and respect for you, sister. So don't take it personal. But am I hearing you say in a roundabout way that we're responsible for the way that they treat us, in the way that we act, and different things of that nature? Is that what I'm hearing you say? That if we act differently, they'll treat us differently?
In a sense, I'm not gonna say wholeheartedly that is the main reason. That's not the main reason. But I will say that, if you as an individual, if you act different, not collective, but as an individual, if you're not acting in a sense of how they see us, then yes.
Okay. Rico, what do you say to that?
I mean, I don't have nothing to say to that. I mean, I got my own opinion once again about why this thing goes this way. You know what I'm saying? First of all, I want to say Pete, not the part, man. I mean, he took the words out of my mouth. I was going now. See, sometimes we just have to get to the basis of how human beings act and respond. But when we say we need to wake up, we ain't just talking about waking up mentally, but we talking about waking up spiritually too. Yeah. But we know as human beings, anytime we go in the atmosphere or an environment trying to just live or survive, and people just hate you or have some animosity or malice towards you for no reason, there is a reason. And there's something about you that they envy or don't like. Obviously, there's something about you they don't like. What is it that they don't like? I ain't did nothing to them.
Yeah, maybe, and see, Rico, that's my point, and that's a part of my question to you right there. If they don't even, some that don't even know us personally, don't like us, so I don't think it's anything that we have done you know, like I say, you know, maybe somebody that look like us, maybe done something to them at one point in time in their life. But so have other people that don't look like us has done things, but they don't approach it in the same way.
Well, I was gonna
Got
get to that. Thing is, it turns into a way of life. You know what I'm saying? See, this is what it boils down to. It didn't start all around the world. It started with one culture. And that one culture, they envy something about us, something that we don't even realize. Pete said it. There's other people around the world know there's something special about us black people that we don't even recognize and we don't respect it because we out of order because of the conditions that we live in. So these one people that we're talking about that started this classification system, they came from somewhere where if we understand history correctly, they got separated from everybody, whether they were banished or just somehow got separated. And they had to live under some very severe conditions where it was every man for himself. The conditions weren't right. It transformed them. It sort of mentally messed them up. You know how you can get traumatized in traumatizing conditions. And they were near some mountains they call the Caucasus Mountains. If I ain't mistaken, it may have been very cold and barren and very hard to survive. Somebody said it came out of caves.
Yeah.
Imagine how mad and crazy you can get and dysfunctional you can get trying to survive. But this is your way of surviving. This is your way of life. Fighting for resources with animals, bears. And look, they made movies about it. Although DiCaprio killed a bear and climbed up in his belly. They do some wild things to survive. Because they had that might have been a very traumatizing environment they were in. But then they got educated. They got lied by Moors. Somebody went out there and found them. But see, they already had this culture, this way of life, this warmongering, this hey, we need resources, we need to survive. Dog eat dog mindset. We fighting with animals and everything they live for resources. Well, over here where we are, like Pete said, we were about camaraderie and community. So they went around the world. We call them colonizers. They went around the world, dominated with weapons, conned everybody, got in good because they had to learn how to manipulate people to get in good with them and kill them, just like they had to learn how to manipulate animals. They had to learn how to be like lions in the environment they came from. So then they start envying these resources. As they colonize, they realize, man, these people got pretty gold things and they got on clothes, they dress. Look how we looking, look how they look in these Moors. Teaching us how to bathe and how not to sleep with animals. How to hygiene, how to brush. I mean, they teaching us all this stuff, man, and it does seem a little better, but we done had decades and centuries of this culture trying to survive and trying to fight for resources with animals, living like animals, because we're competing with animals. So when they started finding out how to get away from here, once we gave them that platform, we probably taught them how to build boats. Since the Moors came over and taught them, they went around and started seeing other resources, and they were like, man, you know what? I think I want some of this. So that's where the nature of self-indulgence came in. Hedonistic behavior. Let's go to war. Let's con these people and take what they got, because they using it wrong. You know what they could use this for? You know what they could use that for? And they went around the world and they did it in China. They did it in Japan. They colonized the world, killed people on whole islands of people to take their resources, because that's what they came from, in those mountains. So now here it is, not only that, as they get more and more technological, they start understanding something special about this melanin. They even say melanin is chlorophyll on steroids. That means we're more important than plants. We even create energy, from what I understand, just from the melanin in our skin.
Wow.
You know, so it's about energy. So when you come from a place like that where you envy somebody, just go back to the basics of how we operate today. Whenever you know somebody just dislikes somebody for no reason, it has to come from envy. If you did nothing to that person, if you had no interaction with this person, it's only one thing and one thing only that can make a person dislike or hate you that bad, and you've done nothing to them, and that is envy and envy only.
Okay, let me read this. Rico, hold on. Let me read this, because this is something that Paul said in response, I think, to what you were saying. So, okay, it goes. It says, as if Africans didn't have traumatizing environments. Come on, that sounds pretty racist.
Well, you know, there's a lot of things that he says that sound racist too. That's his opinion, but that ain't what it's meant to be. It's just the truth. You're true enough. African people, black people, dark people, melanated people, they had traumatizing experiences too. But we just breaking down history. I mean, y'all know the history better than we do. Y'all people, y'all win Oscars and Emmys for portraying warmongers. Brad Pitt, his best movies he get awarded for is being that survivor. Leonardo DiCaprio, he win his first Emmy or Oscar award for surviving in the environment against nature and man, coming out on top, destroying everything, whatever it takes to survive. That's the great white man. We came from the bottom and we dominant. We are superior. We're Aryan. And history has proven that's what y'all think. That didn't come from black people. That didn't come from Africa. See, we talking about why the world hates black people. We ain't talking about if Africa is traumatized. We ain't fixing to flip the script.
Okay.
That question was, why does the world hate black people?
Good deal. Good deal. Let's keep this thing going. Let me go back to Cassandra. Cassandra, what's on your heart?
If we can answer this question and get a resolve to it, we can change the world. I mean, just being honest.
Because let me jump in. Let me jump in for a second. Let me jump in 1 second. Let me, Cassandra, what do you say? Because my sister, man, Makita, she put a good question out there. She said that if we were to act differently, if we would act better, they would treat us better.
No. We've always tried to fit in. Come on now. We've always tried to adapt to the communities that we were in. Even when we were slaves, we tried to adapt. You had black people that tried to adapt. So no, it doesn't matter. Listen, you can be, I'm gonna use this. You can be a pro ball player, right? Making millions of dollars, or hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, driving a Lamborghini or whatever those cars are, and you can go into a store and somebody treats you different because you're black. Period.
Yeah.
Period. I mean, you got a black card that you can buy anything in that store or buy the whole store. What the kid did recently, a rapper, went into a shoe store and bought everything in the store. So we can't know. I don't care what we do. If a person hates you, they just hate you. They don't even have to have a reason.
Wow. That's good. Let me go. We got a few more people that actually just came on the line. I want to touch them as well. Everybody else, please be patient. We got quite a few people on today, so be patient. I'm definitely gonna circle my way all the way back around and touch everybody. Joseph, you're next on your next, brother. We're asking the question: why do the world hate black people so much when we're the ones that has been treated so terrible throughout the annals of time? Brother, what's your assessment of that?
Well, I think one reason is because we're the original people. When people left Africa and spread out throughout the world, they started there. And when you look back at religion and much of those things that were invented, it comes from that part of the world. And so those who want to dominate the world have to maintain this myth somehow that we're inferior, that we are inherently criminal and all this. But I like the sister was saying, even when we are at our best in terms of advancement in this country, we're attacked because Black Wall Street shows us that. 1921, Tulsa, Oklahoma, shows us that. In fact, that whole bloody summer, 1919, all the way into the early 20s, shows us that it doesn't matter how productive we are, how much we achieve, there's an element in this country that fears the rise of black people. They fear us. In fact, there are those now who are fearing the browning of America, and there are subliminal acts to suppress black vote, suppress black progress, black health. There are those who praise Trump when he didn't do anything to try to save lives from COVID. Whether we want to acknowledge that or not, it is true. There are millions of followers of Trump who thought that by him not doing much with COVID, it would eliminate a lot of vulnerable Black people. And it did, because 23% of those who died from COVID was Black. And but many people suffered from COVID, white and Black and other races. So it wasn't a wise thing, period. When we treat each other right, I think we'll have a better country.
Wow,
yeah.
That's good.
That's how I feel about that.
Good deal. And we got a lot of different opinions on here, but I want to go back. We got another caller. I'll go to the caller next, but I want to go back to Makita. Makita, do you want to the comment that you made about if we act better, they will treat us better. Listening to what a few people have said, is that still your stance, or do you think where's your heart on that part?
I think from what everyone else has said after that, I think it's coming from a different way. Or I see the question a little bit different. I mean, I don't know. It's because I look at it, it's really from person to person for me. But when it comes to why the world hate Black people, if you're talking in, a person can hate you because of their misery. You know what I'm saying? A person can hate you, like they said, because they envy you for what you got because of what they may not have. You know, I honestly just think that is in general. I just don't think that it has a lot to do with Black people, and like the gentleman said, it's all about us treating people right and really being able to come together. And that's one thing that Black people ain't learned to do that.
Wow.
So I mean, I see the question from different varieties. I agree. From the standpoint of where it's coming from. Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I just think it's a general thing.
Okay.
Raheem.
Yes.
So I know where she's coming from too, because
I think we could.
When you look at it from the perspective of the white people that don't feel that way, that don't hate Black people,
right?
But then at the same time, they look at how we carry ourselves out of the conditioning. You got to still understand where that comes from, because we are all conditioned. They're conditioned and we are conditioned. So there are some behaviors, like I said, how the white people from the Caucasus Mountain, they were conditioned to survive a certain way. And that became their way of life. That became their culture. And so when they learn how to condition, they condition us to a certain way of life. And when you see that way of life being the narrative played all the time as a criminal, and you see us exemplifying what their stereotype is, then you have some people that are justified to say, well, look how they act. If they acted better, they wouldn't. You get what I'm saying? If they voted, they wouldn't have these problems. If they worked, they wouldn't. So, you have those issues where you have conditioned Black people that need to wake up spiritually and mentally also.
But Rico, but Rico, let me say this. Let me say it. And I understand what you're saying, because I was about to say, that pretty much the same thing, not exactly the way you said it, but in a nutshell. But my thing is this right here. If those very people that are feeling that way, that have that mindset, turn the mirror around to some of the people that look just like them, they'll find that same thing. Now, are they gonna feel the same way about people that look just like them, or are they gonna ostracize them and say that they're this or they're that? They're not gonna do that. But they're quick to do it to us. I mean, they could turn the mirror around and while they're looking at us, they can say, well, you act this way, you do this and that. That's why we treat you. But there's so many people in their community that act that try to be Black and act Black and do the very same things, but they're not ostracized. They're not treated in the same way. So you can't treat one this way and not treat the other that way. I say all the time on here, man, I don't care if you don't, and I do care that you treat me or don't treat me fairly. I'm gonna use that as an example, but I don't care if you don't treat me fairly, long as you treat me the same way you treat everybody else. They're not treating everybody the same. They'll look at us and we'll be the scum of the earth doing something that somebody that look just like them or do the very same thing, and they'll get a pass.
So let's call it what it is. It's double standards. It's hypocrisy. That's what you call that. You call that a double standard. I mean, I'm trying to think of the other word I was thinking of, but yeah, that's really what it boils down to. There is a double standard, you know, and then these things called stereotypes also exist.
Yep, exactly.
And it really doesn't help when you fit the stereotype. So, you know, we already know the definition to these things, and we know that in some cases, when we live up to those stereotypes, we are the ones that's causing it to be justified. And then in other cases, when somebody just jogging through a neighborhood and they ain't living up to, they living up to the wrong stereotype, which is just jogging while black or driving while black, then they can't justify that. That's when they don't want to turn the mirror on themselves.
Exactly.
But the stereotype is that, hey, we could lie and say he was looking like a thief. Why? Because he looked suspicious. Why? Because he fits another stereotype. He's melanated.
And my question is, what is suspicious? What is suspicious? Let me go to Paul. Paul, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Man, you picked a hot topic.
Yes, sir.
I saw that lady post, and I had some thoughts about it. So first of all, the thing that bothered me about it is she's like, why don't they like us? And you know, it's assuming a lot. Like, it's assuming that the majority of whites have a deep racial bias, and I think, you know, the majority of people have some sort of in-group preference, you know, like where they prefer their own group. And I see that with Latinos, I see that with blacks, I see that with whites, you name it, I see that in all groups. So we can't go, oh, those guys are the problem, they're different, they're the ones who we are, you know. I hear that in some places. So I think that needs to be said first. But and the other thing is, I agree with you know, majority of what people are saying here about stereotypes. That's a big part in media and all that. We see, you know, all kinds of bad things that the media promotes, and we don't necessarily see the equal opportunity of exposing, you know, the underside of all groups. And then I think what Joseph said was really important too, when he was talking about, you know, the way, like, Jared Kushner was appointed to be in charge of COVID, and, you know, they had this big task force in the beginning, and they're going to figure out, we're going to come up with a plan for testing and all this stuff. And there was a report right at that time, extemporaneous to that time, and they said, you know what, this disease is going to affect the Black and brown communities the worst. Therefore, we're not going to have a national plan to deal with it. And lo and behold, who suffered the most? Black and brown communities. If you want to call that a conspiracy theory, or, you know, an example or evidence for white supremacists in government, I can't think of a better example than that. So, you know, look, I object to the framing of the question. I don't think most white, look at the media. Look at how many Black people are in the media. You know, I think white America has very mixed feelings about Black America. I think, you know, on some level they love Blacks. On another level, they're like, only so much. And, you know, we're segregated. This is a segregated society. So how do we break that down? I don't know. Some people don't want to. But
you got to understand that when we talk about the media, most of the quote unquote main media, a lot of the times they're fed what it is that they have to say, and they have to read it from a script the way they come on a teleprompter. And so, you know, they you know, if they're gonna keep their job, they're gonna read what's on the teleprompter and read it the way that it is on the teleprompter. That's what they have to do. CNN, Fox, and all of them have their own agendas as to what they put out there and how they put it out there. You know, one cater to this group, one other cater to that group, and they all have their little itches that they have to scratch, if you will. Let me we got another phone call. Captain, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Hey, I'm doing fine. Thank you for asking. Good morning to everyone.
Hey, good morning to you as well. Asking a question. I'm trying to find the clip right now, but there was a young lady. She asked a very important question. I found it very interesting what she asked. She had to be about 24, 25 years old. And she asked, why do the world, and I'm paraphrasing just a little bit, but why do the world hate Black people so much when we've been one that has been treated so terrible throughout the annals of time? Slavery, the way that we're being treated today, Jim Crow, and all the different things. She pointed out several things. I'm trying to find the clip so I can play it. But why do you think, Captain? Why do you think the world hate black people so much?
Well, I think I'm right here. Let me say this. I'm right now in Saginaw, Michigan, in my man, Dr. Leonard's neck of the woods. For the last 3 days, I haven't been on. This is our last day. I'm training the Saginaw Police Department. And we've been here for the last 4 days, and I do training with, as you know, I do training with law enforcement. Saginaw Police Department is majority of white police officers support. The population in Saginaw, Michigan is majority of the 43% of the population in Saginaw is white and 42% is black, so almost half. There was a lady that made a statement, one of the officers yesterday, that, you know, we always ask every officer, you know, what do you like about the job and who you're there to be there. And the white female officer said, I like to catch the bad guy. So I didn't let her get away with it. I said, excuse me, ma'am. I said, officer, her name was Desiree. I said, Officer Desiree, I'm going to give you a pen and go to the chalkboard and paint me the picture of the bad guy. Then you say you like to catch the bad guy. And she got startled. And I said, do the bad guy wear black? And she realized that you can't paint the picture of a bad guy because maybe you have to paint a picture of a police officer. Then I said to her, the majority of the people that you arrest, that you call the bad guy, what color are they? She got quiet. She said, black. So now if you say you like to kiss the bad guy, and your mindset begins to be molded that black men are the bad guys, and she got quiet. I said, now, are you a racist? Because you like to catch the bad guy? Now, when you go back to the question that you asked, do the world hate black people? Do you know what we deal with in law enforcement? Them law enforcement men and women are part of a culture. And we call that culture the beast. And America has a culture, a sick culture. And it's that culture that twists them to look at people in categories, them versus us. It's the same way with America. America got a sick culture. And her culture has been based upon white supremacy and white privilege. Now, they don't want to say that. But if you want to justify how you have treated the people, either two things you're going to do. You're going to either accept the fact that you had, over the many, many centuries, abused people of color through slavery, and accept you was wrong, accepting the fact that you treated other human beings as if they were savages, or you're going to justify it. Listen to me. Or you're going to justify it. Or you're going to have to say they savages. They're ignorant. They don't need it. You have to justify. Two things you're either going to do. You're either going to admit that you're the savage, you're the beast, by how you treat another human being. How could you treat another human being the way you treat black people and you call yourself a human being? No human being can do to another human being what you've done to us. You're the savage. But then you want to say black people are savage. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Then when you can no longer see people as human beings, I'm tired of looking at the color game. When you don't see a person as a human being, something's wrong with you. You're the beast. Black people are human beings. Hispanics are human beings, but you don't see them as human beings. You let this culture of racism over the many centuries make you see black people in a certain way. So that's where the hatred comes from. They don't hate black people, Raheem. They hate themselves.
Wow.
They hate themselves. They trying to justify their own existence when their own existence is a history of savagery. They don't want to talk about how we found them in the caves of York, walking around. We don't bring that up and say, we found y'all like beasts on all fours. You didn't even know how to bear your. Don't let us tell you about your history. Show us a glorious history, white people. Show us your history when you was glorious. You ain't never been glorious. There's no people on the planet. And that's why in the Queen of England right now, they are opening up a can of worms. All of the black You're the thieves and the robbers. You're the ones steal people. You're the ones steal people's guns. You're the ones take people's reasons, not us. And you got the nerve to say you hate us? No, you don't hate us. You hate your damn self. That's who you hate. We ain't did nothing to make nobody hate us. Nothing. We victims. I'm sorry, man. That's my
Good deal. Good deal. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart, sir?
Yes, sir. Wow. Heavy conversation.
Yes, sir.
Question. I didn't see the skit, but it just brought me in mind sort of personal kind of situation for the last 2 years. You know, we get 73, that means you got a bunch of grandkids and children are growing up. And inside this family dynamics, there are things like one grandchild's cutting the arm and another one's talking about committing suicide. And they all, and when I try to counsel and talk with them, I try to point out one thing, that you're seeing yourself as a victim. And I see that what that question is a victim mentality, a mentality that we are the only people who have suffered from this structure, from this Darwin theory, that we, the Black people, we suffer more than anybody else. But when you look at history, you see how the Chinese, the largest massacre of people in California was the Chinese who worked on the railroads and had the shops. When you look at the Irish who came to this country, no niggas, no dogs, no Irish, the Italians. So I guess once you try to single yourself as a victim, and you see yourself as a victim, you do what victims do. You want somebody to help you, to save you, to come and help you. But I think that that's the problem. The problem is that this system, this conditioning of eugenics, racial definitions and philosophies and mind control, all of this stuff evolved from that very source of Darwin's theory of evolution in the favored races. So this system took a long process to get in place that it is now. It will be a long process to get it out. But I think the first thing, the biggest point, when we as people stop seeing ourselves as separate identities and matching my pain with your pain and your pain, we all suffer. It says in the scripture, and I just get a little spiritual for a second, he came to set the captives free. That said, everyone born into this earth, born through a woman, is born through a world of war, born into a world that's ruled by an enemy of you as a being, trying to take away everything you have, your faith, your belief. The sister who said that thing, I understand it correct what she's saying. You know, I saw a skit with Thomas Sowell and a couple other people talking about why we are in it's culture. But the culture, but we can't just blame ourselves because there's a system that put the culture, the rap music, the direction it took, the twerking and back in the old days, the back of the Muhammad speak be a picture. It'd be a picture of a white woman with a little white child and a black woman with a black child, and they both was dressed identical, showing their legs, showing their bodies. Now, I'm not coming from that for a religious point, but you got to see this here. We as a people in our culture, we get what our hands call for because we won't make the changes as necessary. We had someone in our midst who put out a program, and it didn't say like become part of them to do this, so no, let's do this for ourselves. There was no response. Then when we got outside response from another country, Gaddafi, who we sat around and watched them just kill and put them on television and kill the kitten. And just the thing about this COVID thing, I heard Paul put out those things, and I read them things. I read both sides. I listen to both sides, and I critically think myself through it, just for my own peace of mind. But down in Florida, DeSotis, he didn't shut down the schools. He didn't shut down this country. He didn't shut down this state. And now if we look honestly, all the things coming out about the COVID and that whole thing, you got to see it was a trip. It was important. People died. But look at it. Open your eyes, look at it clear. Get rid of your bias. Get rid of your party authorities. Just look at it and search for the truth. The truth of the matter, it was weaponized as a political weapon against everybody.
Wow.
And we had people died in hospitals. that couldn't even sit there with their parents' last leg because they were saying you can't do it. They was patenting the counts of
30
who
seconds.
had COVID.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we all got different shades. We got different came through different cultures. But until we get to the point to look and see that we're human beings, and you can tell who the human beings are, and then the other ones that stand out, it's, like Scripture said, separating the calf for the shaft of that last day, because you can't tell. But just people walk around in the midst of us. We think they're human. They look human, but they're not.
Wow. 5089, and that's a deep comment what you just made, man. I hope people heard what you just said. That was powerful. 5089.
I want to correct on something that
okay.
you said. I want to correct. What
Okay,
you said
hold 1 second. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me put the number out there. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. Want to be a part of the conversation? Definitely, you're more than welcome. And I would love to have some of my Caucasian brothers and sisters to call in as well. Tell me, why do you think, from your standpoint, why do you think the world hate black people so much? Captain, go ahead.
No, I just want to correct Brother Hicks. He talked about, Muhammad speaks. It was right. There was a family, white girl, and they had a black. They both were the same thing. But you remember, Brother Hicks, the messenger put that on it to show the influence that Caucasian people have on our dress. The blacks were trying to find some duplicate. That's all. It wasn't that where they are, but he was showing them how the influence of Europeans have on our people and their dress. I just wanted to say that. But it was point. Certain things I like that.
Absolutely.
If we get to that, all this other stuff will come to an end.
Absolutely. Badger, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Badger, talk to me. You've been listening for one. I want to get you to adjust for the conversation. Now that you have it, man, why do you think the world hate black people so much?
I don't think that's hard, because in general, I don't think it's hate.
What do you think it is?
Because in my experience, and with all the people that I've talked to around the world and stuff, most of the people that I've heard have issues with black people are under the illusions and nonsense of either the mark of Cain and all that junk. The reason the economy's so jacked up is and that whole toxic redirection illusion BS. And then you got the folks in power that is constantly doing systematic racism. And then you get the people that are KKK, Aryan Brotherhood, and so on, the neo-Nazis, and anyone of the white race, white skin that hates any other skin. And it's because in a typical day, I meet more people that are confused than I would say hateful. However, I've met racists, I've met the confused, and I've met the ones that are like me and Paul. So, however, there's more that's like me and Paul than the other two.
Okay.
It's just we're sitting here going, none of this makes sense. We're trying to vote, we're trying to push for all these changes and stuff. Why isn't it happening? So, or at least from my perspective, I am. So, there's a lot of hateful people in this world. And I've come to realize that sometimes it really doesn't matter who you are. If a person's hateful, they're going to be hateful. Period. And it sucks. It
But
is right.
at times, it depends on the target, because like, if they're hateful, sometimes it's a targeted hate that they're
I
putting
mean,
out there.
do
Yeah.
y'all remember me sharing what I shared
Mm-hmm.
about my experiences growing up as a
Yes.
white-skinned human?
Mm-hmm.
And all that misdirection of saying, poor white has less privilege than black and Spanish or any other race does.
Mm-hmm.
You get fed that enough, you get denied things enough, and you automatically think other people do. Would that not produce hate at some point? Or jealousy or envy? Wait, is envy the right one?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Towards another race, because the mentality is based on a lie. And until you're able to see that it's a lie, you're going to have that mentality.
Mm-hmm. Wow. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. We love to have your input. Cassandra, what's on your heart, sis? Pete, coming to you next. Oh, hold on. I think I might have muted Cassandra. She has some background noise. Let me see here. Yep, I sure did. Sorry about that, Cassandra. I had you on mute. I'm sorry about that.
Yeah.
What's on your heart, sis?
No, that's fine. I didn't realize I was open at that time. I was driving. Okay, so I want to go to something that Rico says a lot. And this morning I thought about it when I heard the topic. Do you know when the two police officers were killed here in Atlanta last week?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what the first thing I said was?
What's that?
I hope it's not a black person.
Wow.
That I was like, what are you saying? You understand?
Yeah.
That's the conditioning. That's what I think Rico talks about a lot.
Yeah.
I automatically said, oh my God, I just hope it's not a black person. You know why? Because they expect it to be, and I know, and I asked some people afterwards, some of my white friends, I said, what did you think about it when you heard it? Yeah, we figured it was a black person.
Mm-hmm.
So we are sometimes conditioned to think certain ways, and now I have to like reevaluate my thinking.
Yeah.
And I'll be the first one to say, when stuff happens, I always say, I hope it's not a black person. What's that? That's because of the mental conditioning that we have that, oh my God, they're going to look at us crazy again because it's like, here, this black person and killed two people. But it don't matter who, they killed two officers, bottom line.
Yep,
so
exactly.
I want to, I want to thank Rico for always saying that, we're conditioned in something, because that was true when it comes to that in me.
Exactly. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Asking the question, why do America and the world hate black people so much when we have been treated so terribly throughout the annals of time? Toussaint, good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Well, I was doing all right before I heard the subject.
Come on, let's talk about it, brother. This is Thirsty Thursday. Let's drench that thirst. We're gonna quench our thirst.
I gave up cussing.
Oh Lord. Oh Lord. What's on your heart?
I don't know how to get into this conversation because
do you think is it a reality?
It's a norm.
It's
a norm. It's normal.
Wow.
It's normal and acceptable.
I
don't know. When you have it throughout history have been said to be less and expendable, and you you go from one generation to the other saying the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It just, habits are hard to break.
Yeah.
Bad ones especially.
Mm-hmm.
And then when somebody adds thinking that they are superior, can you imagine? Just because of throughout history, person's skin color, you feed their babies to alligators.
Yeah, alligators, absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Or you just say, well, let's have a picnic.
Mm-hmm.
Picnic.
Mm-hmm.
Picnic.
Let me go back for a second. And yeah, I understand what you're saying about the picnic and all that stuff, but the thing that you said before that, just if that could just sink in just for a second, taking someone's baby, defenses a baby, and you throwing that baby into a pit of alligators, knowing what's gonna happen to that baby, man, knowing what that baby's gonna go through, and then you have a parents, man, that feel like they're so defenseless. We Tucson, man, just if man, it is how inhumane is that, brother? To take a baby and throw a baby, what kind of person would do something like that?
Here's the deal. Make sure the baby don't grow up to be.
Yeah.
The thing. If the child grows up, the potential. Remember when it was thought to, I guess when even Moses, when he was year old and under, they took all the Hebrew children, did the same thing. When it was thought that Jesus was to come, they repeated the act. The potential of something happening to uprule authority in any kind of way is the I guess the fear of the potential would cause more hate. We normal. And then we'll get some of us to help. I'm just saying. But we already have a crab like mentality. We already got that. But then you get others that feel like, because if they ever rise up, then they have the potential to run this thing. So take the possibility of them ever heading in that direction.
Well, they bust out that window
and start them off and start off with their children to inflict fear. And then sometimes you say, what else they do? They have a hope and a belief. So burn the church or their mosque.
Wow.
Blow that sucker up. That inflict something else on them because they believe in a superior power. So what they look at too is their churches and them, So set them jokers afire.
Wow.
I'm just saying. I'm just throwing some stuff out there.
508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Gonna go in this order. Gonna go Pete, Joseph, and then Rico. Everybody be on standby. We're going in that order. Pete, what's on your heart, brother?
All the stuff that we're talking about, let's put it in an outline form. The topic is not why do they hate us? The topic is domination. Everything everybody's mentioning, reframe your interpretation in the context of the subject matter. It's all about domination. When they brought out their form of Christianity, It was not to enlighten the being and bring them to a purity in their existence and perfect themselves. It was to dominate them, period. That's what it was for. You leave this society right now. If anybody on the line in the listening audience has had the privilege to leave North America, what you call the U.S., and go to any other outlining minor islands or places that people choose to go on vacation or holiday, as soon as you get there, there's a refreshing that takes place, a relaxation, a peace, a calm, you can now enjoy yourself, and right now in this moment, and for those couple of days or whatever the term are that you're there, you just have such a great time. Why is that? It's the system and function and the culture of the system and function here that creates the chaos and all the derivatives of the demonstrative demonic nonsense that we're talking about and deal with here. We definitely want to point out, everybody light skin ain't hating. They're not hateful. They don't just dislike you. Blah, 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 blah. It's not everybody. Okay, so don't do that, because when they overemphasize the most negative elements of our people, our culture here, right? That's not all of us. That's just, those that do it. It's not the majority. So we don't want to throw people into categories, but what we want to understand is the subject matter is domination. Period. If I want to dominate you, what am I willing to do? What must I do? What must be done? What must take place? What must be in place? What must be maintained? What must be reinforced in order for me to stay in domination of you?
Wow.
That's what you did. That is what we're dealing with. The over policing. The police not even in the Constitution. They're a standing army in the United States. And if you read the Constitution, you will see that it's actually illegal. Whole nother subject. Come on now. Stop playing. It's about domination. The inadequate health care, inadequate resources for education, domination. Inadequate resources for employment. Why is the massive numbers of melanated men they call black African American in this country making $40-something thousand? Well, they need to educate themselves better. That's not why. It's because it's systematically desired that you stay there, because then it creates a whole nother set of conditions that we want to be in place. Why? So that we can continue to keep the system going in the direction that it's going. Domination. Domination. Now, my dear sister said, if we act better, right? Okay, well, if you show yourself to be civilized, you would hope that other individuals would treat you civilized. Some cases could be true, some cases it's not. But the fact of the matter is, who gives a hoot? You have to treat me with respect, regardless of how you see me, how you feel about me, or anything else. If you don't want to receive disrespect, then don't bring forth disrespect. If you want respect, bring it. And that's it. That's period. We're talking about domination and us accepting domination. Some of the outrageous things that go on in this country only go on because we're not willing to deal with it head on as you trying to dominate me. That's it. I don't want you to apologize. I want you to apologize to my face. I don't want you to just apologize to my face. I want you to take a knee in front of me and then look up to me and apologize. Look, dude, I done told you a trifling behind. I'm going to give you an apology. Now, I'm going to have to give you another apology because I'm about to assault you again, even more aggressively. Why? Because I don't tolerate foolishness. That's why.
Good deal.
At some point, you got to put all this nonsense to the side. We are about community, camaraderie, the relationship in your being as a being. That is your height of your beingship, when you can have camaraderie. Their genetic height is to achieve the goal. Now, do you understand why it's like it is? Because the goal is domination. It's not all of them. Do they benefit? Are they positioned through the function of the system up under the subject matter of domination? Yes, there can be some positioning. It doesn't mean that they agree with the system in function or the mindset of the agenda in function. But it doesn't negate the fact that they have positioning, and their positioning may be better than yours. And that's a desired condition of the subject matter, domination.
Good deal. Good deal.
Domination.
Stay right there, brother. Don't go nowhere. Stay right there. We're going to keep this thing rolling. Joseph, what's on your heart, brother? Rico, you up next.
I agree so much with our brother about domination, and that is what it's all about. And then, I was thinking, you have to otherize people and dehumanize them in order to perpetuate
injustice against them. You know, that Officer Chauvin, he was able to keep his knee on George Floyd's neck because they otherized him, you know, made him out, they dehumanized, took away his humanity. And that's what people will do. Even in this country, you know, as African Americans, we have always suffered a backlash. Every time we make a small increment forward, I mean, even coming out of slavery, and I know there's some history scholars on here who could correct me. I guess Reconstruction period lasts, what, maybe 13 years or whatever, when blacks were elected to office and different things. And the Freedman Brewery was helping educate some of us so we could participate and carry out our civic obligation. But as soon as the Rutherford B. Hayes presidency was stolen, or however they did that thing, and gave the South the authority back and took the Union soldiers away from down here, what did the whites do? They maneuvered us back into a quasi-slavery condition. You know, they call it sharecropping and all that. Now, see, I come from Helena, Arkansas, 10 minutes from Elaine, where the race riot of 1919 took place. Those black folks wanted better pay. They didn't like that cropping quasi-slavery arrangement. They wanted better conditions. So they essentially took up guns and told, you know, our white brothers, no, we're not going to live under this condition. See, because people know when you're doing wrong. I mean, even if when you go and look at the music artists and how they were maneuvered into this plantation-like, sharecropping-like music arrangement. It's a system, and the way they've dealt with it. We just learned that Aretha Franklin was on the FBI list.
Yes,
Because with civil rights community. Why they watch us? Why they watch us? Why do they otherize us? What are they afraid of? What is it about us that caused not all white folks? Because we had some allies. Tom Hanks said, you know, I had never heard of Black Wall Street or the Tulsa massacre. He said, I was denied that opportunity to learn in school. There are many white folks who have not studied our history. And do you know there are many black folks who don't know our history either?
Absolutely.
I mean, because if we knew our history and study ourselves, then we would not participate in the myth that people try to make us live under. And this is why we have poor education system, dilapidated education system. This is why so many of our children are confused. They know there's something wrong, but they can't put their finger on it. I was one of those kids. But when I read Malcolm X's autobiography, guess what? That thing sent me to study. That book sent me to studying my history, wanting to know more and understand more about the system and how it works. Because see, they continue to pay us less money than they pay our white counterparts, and then many whites who don't know about it, they benefit from the system, but they're naive, they're ignorant.
Wow.
And so I agree with the brother. We can't say everybody hates us. Some of them have to be educated, like we have to be educated. But I thank you for letting me say that, brother.
Absolutely. 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. It's an open conversation. You're more than welcome to give us a call, and let's have your input on this conversation. Why do the world hate black people so much? Rico, talk to me, brother.
It goes back to being conditioned on both sides. But, you know, I don't want to just limit this to America. You know, but the one thing about it is, man, it's crazy, man. The truth hurts. This is one thing I noticed about dealing with people. When you speak against something or somebody that they like, they get defensive. Even though the truth may hurt. You can come out with all the logic and facts that you want to. Somebody's still going to go with their emotion. But Pete said it, man. It's about control, greed, domination, advantage. You get advantage in all that. And guess what? People don't like giving up their advantage because that's a reward and a comfort too. So now we go back to this psychological programming. You know what this really is all psychological warfare. But once you start realizing how everybody has been conditioned to a thought process or to a culture, to where they subconsciously put people in categories. Then you start asking yourself, how did I get conditioned to think that way? And why was that even created? See, we think about Hitler when they put out them flyers about the Jews, you know what I'm saying, over, you know, Americans when they put out flyers. You know how they do all that stuff, that propaganda thing. You know, they do that to create a narrative. But these people that we're talking about, they are the same ones that went to Africa and created a system where they cut off people's hands and killed 10 million people in the Congo. So many massacres, so many school massacres. You know, I was looking yesterday and reading, well, there were a bunch of school massacres, black schools, Jackson State, where Deion Sanders teach at. State troopers killed some black guys. So, I mean, school shootings, it wasn't brought up. This happened in the 60s. So, I mean, you know, this experience, man, this black experience, it still goes on. You know, they say the system of classification, which was created by Carl Linnaeus, or the classification of humankind, it started in 1735, but you best believe he didn't just come up with it and print it in 1735. It was a whole lot of studies done before then, before they made it official. So for some centuries, probably, they still had this thing in them that made them want to feel like, you know what, we have learned the true knowledge. We have learned the sacred knowledge. And in this sacred knowledge don't look like we are who we think we are. But in the culture that we come from the Caucasus Mountains, well, it's every man for himself. Now we finally got together and decided to go around the world and conquer people and put this type of behavior on everybody else. That's what they did. They went and colonized the world. So now you see the same culture and the same system in China where they don't like black people. You see the same system and culture in Brazil where the Afro people over there are being executed because of colorism, still coming back from race. So why? Who classified it and why? It's because they needed to put themselves in a situation where they had advantage. And you want advantage, that's one source of motivation for people to hate you, you know what I'm saying? Because that would also come from envy. Once again, you want the things that they have. So I think it's rooted in genetics. I think they learned some science about melanin. They just from experience, they probably learned how valuable just having melanin was, and just so many different things. I mean, just natural genetics, man, shows some things that we have advantages over that some people may envy. So you start thinking about self-preservation. You start thinking about diseases and health and not being able to survive in certain places just on this planet. Well, we don't have no problem. Something we naturally have that are advantages to us on this planet. The sun is an advantage to us, less of an advantage to them. So, you know, when you have a way that you had to survive, and that became your culture, that became your way of life, you have become conditioned to fight and battle for resources and for control and for respect by enemies necessary, savagely,
good deal,
barbaric. Then I believe that just becomes a culture that you pass on to everybody else. Once you gain domination, advantage, or control, you pass that same mindset to everybody else.
Good deal. Got to keep this thing moving, man. This is a great conversation, and I'm definitely enjoying this. We're gonna go in this order right here as we continue. We're gonna go Badger, Cassandra, and Captain. Badger, what's on your heart?
I agree. Like the conditioning and the thought processes, you know, that we're surrounded with all over the world right now. Most of the time on TV, we see certain things. We talked the other week about twerking and where it originated from versus how most people use it today. So it's, what are we surrounded by? And the lack of teaching in schools. I had a wild experience while I was doing museum stuff of helping kids, you know, learn the history of the county we live in, some of the history of Texas. And me and the history teacher was talking and stuff, and she said she was so amazed at what was not even accessible in normal school from like
Mhm.
elementary to high school, and how much she learned because of the degree that she went after. And it made her realize that people that didn't go after a history degree are missing out on so much, that especially American history, that it's hard to blame them, because at a point, once you get out of high school, if you want to know anything of why a group of people, or why there's certain thought processes, how the government actually works, you have to do research beyond school.
Mhm.
And that's sad. It's so generic, and there's so many missed opportunities.
Mhm.
Um, and a lot of families don't have the time to teach, or they don't even know where to begin. It's too
Mm.
overwhelming. So they trust what's on the news. They maybe might watch a documentary or two, and depending on who made the documentary, it's going to push one prerogative or another.
Mhm.
So, man, dude,
A lot of layers, huh?
yeah, God, there's so many layers. And then
Mhm.
if you get into the systematic racism, there's a whole category for that. And then you get into the illusions and misdirections. And then you get into, what was that word that they used? Control. It was a bigger word for control.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, of other people. So for the people to stay in power, they got to do something to keep us the Joe Smos, or the normal people every day,
Mhm. Mhm.
from working together. And right now, it's off and on working. A lot of us are starting to realize, wait a minute,
Mhm.
why aren't we working together? Because
Exactly.
we all hate this system that's going on right now. So let's let's get it done.
Mhm.
And then you run into people that are traumatized, and then there's that whole mental health aspect, like, and it's all over the world.
Mhm.
I've actually tried to avoid a lot of the stuff that's going on in the UK right now, because I know I'm probably going to get triggered.
Mhm. Wow.
So, because I've been very focused on certain bills that are coming up and things like that, trying to see what they're all about.
Mhm.
So it's insane. Matter of
Exactly.
fact, finally, a Native American from Alaska, and she's a woman, actually was able to be in the House of Representatives for Alaska.
Mhm. Wow. Wow.
Beat who's
30
that?
seconds.
Representative. It was a Republican that it was Democrat beat the Republican. In other words,
Mhm.
um, and we need just more. We need to figure out how to educate more people,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
or at least let them know the importance of why education and doing some research is so important.
Absolutely. Got to keep this thing moving. Let me go. We're gonna go next to our Cassandra. Then we're gonna go to Captain. Cassandra, what's on your heart? Cassandra, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay.
I'm here. Um, yeah, we face, I think, the problem of racism in America for so long without real resolution, and we might as well be honest. We still haven't found the answer yet.
No.
I mean, well, let me put it like this: maybe somebody here has found the answers to it.
Mhm.
I don't think so, because if you have, we about to make about several $billions, because we
Absolutely.
don't we've come up with a solution to racism in America. So I think it's everybody trying to what's the word? Learn about each other,
Mhm.
talk to each other, find out what they feel like, because we can talk as Black people all day about why they hate us and what changes need to be done. But guess who we really need to be talking to?
Each other.
Who do we need to be talking to?
Each other.
No, we need to be talking to them, to white people. Because if they have the problem with us talking to each other is not going to resolve anything. But us talking to them, and we can sort of help them realize we're not the problem. You know what I'm saying? Or we're not who you think we are. This is who we are. Just ask. We can tell you who we are. But until we talk to them, there's no resolution. How? You got to go to the source of the problem.
Is both sides is both sides open to that conversation, Cassandra?
I think nowadays most, let me put like this, most white people are open to talking, at least talking about it. Most of them. You got your supremacist groups. They ain't gonna never want to talk about it. And I don't care about them. I don't care if they don't want to talk. That's fine. But there are people that are open to having a conversation with us about race.
Okay.
Those are the ones we need to talk to.
Well, we have a platform here, man, and so if ever we could pull it together, man, I'd love to have it happen right here. Let's start it right here. You know.
Yeah, we need a lot. I have a lady that just called me about coming to a meeting in Kennesaw, to their city council meeting, to talk about racism in their area. So maybe I can get Chris to come on and talk here about what her on why we need to get away from the hatred.
Absolutely. I love that. I will absolutely love that. Okay. Yeah, let's make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, that's key what she said, man, because I was thinking about that same thing earlier, man. It's good for us to have these conversations, but first off, they have to realize that it exists and not be in denial, or not go back and say, well, what about y'all? Because that's sort of like what Paul did earlier. When we started discussing, he started feeling some type of way. And what about y'all? What about some of y'all do? You get what I'm saying? So it's like, no, that's not the topic, or that's not the issue. The issue is the world having this stereotype and this feeling about Black people. So once they even can acknowledge it and understand where they are even contributing to it subconsciously, because some people don't even realize they're doing it. This is an unconscious thing now. It's a condition that you have to understand that even exists. Some people don't understand they have this condition. But when they do have it, we need the Paul and the Badgers to go back and tell them, listen, this is what it is, to be able to identify it when it's there. Because sometimes they don't even realize that they may be conditioned to feel a certain way.
Absolutely.
So I think it's all on them to go back and talk to their people to get them to understand, how this is going off. Their thought process is a little different.
Good deal. Let me go to Captain, and we got a few more people that just called in. We're gonna come to each and every one of you in just a second. Captain, what's on your heart?
Well, I think everyone input. I thank y'all so much, every one of y'all who said something. You really add to the conversation, and trust me, I think that there's no one answer. But I want to say this. It's very important. If you look at the Bible and go to Daniel 4:16, it talks about how God took the heart of a man and gave Nebuchadnezzar the heart of a beast. Well, we can interpret that to mean the rulership. We ain't never asked the question. The question that it be asked, Brother Raheem, and I think we need to flip the script. I think what we need to be talking about is, why do white people have this real beast mentality? How is it that white people only got a history 6,000 years old? You cannot find European Caucasian people's history that go past 6,000 years. Wow. How could the people only been on the planet 6,000 years dominate the darker people of the planet? How can you dominate a people with love? You don't dominate no one if you love them. You dominate people you hate. So if they are in domination of us, it ain't because they love us they dominate. But the question is, what's wrong with you white people? What is your obsession to always have to be in charge? person that want to dominate the whole world with your sick mind. What is wrong with you, white people? Where did that come from? How come you're only 6,000 years old, but you're already trying to dominate the whole planet? The problem is not us. We need to ask them, what is your problem? Not ask why they hate us. The problem is, what's wrong with you? There's a book, man, called Africanus, called The Caveman Something. It talks about their history. They have a history all the way if you could find their history to go past 7,000 years, I'll shut up. They don't have a history to go past 7,000 years, family. So why are we sitting here talking to a little kid that just come on the block and automatically mad? He already mad. Could he be mad because he's the last? Could he be mad because we're the chosen people of God? Could he be jealous and envious of us? Could he hate the fact that he come around and seen us, the builders, to seen us in the glorious day? Could he be jealous and envious? How come the Chinese is over in Africa stealing our resources? Yeah, they hate us. In order to rob people of the resources, you can't come and rob people of their resources and love them. So the Chinese got to hate us too, because they're over in Africa, stealing the ore, stealing the iron. So you can't rob people and love them. You can't enslave people and love them.
Wow.
You have to justify that caveman mentality. I feel so sorry for you white folk. You're the problem, not us. And black people, stop trying to spare their damn feelings, because they ain't trying to spare us. I always hear somebody when they always will see there's some white brothers. So, man, we know that. Every time we got to talk about them, we got to whisper when we talk about them. I don't like that about us. They don't stand their feelings. Yeah, the truth is the truth. Speak up, man. Tell the truth. Let them deal with it. That's their history. They sick, man. They sick, and they're in trouble with God, not with us.
Good deal. Good deal. Go keep this thing going, man. Paul, what's on your heart, brother?
Okay. Yeah. A lot of interesting comments, but it seems to me there's a little bit of a disparity in the rhetoric here, because on one hand you have Cassandra saying, the solution is to talk to whites and break down the barriers and say, we're the same, we should love each other, God loves us all, we're all brothers, etc. And then you have other people on here saying, whites are different, whites are just kind of inherently bad and all this stuff. How can you have a conversation when you have those two different narratives? And back to the original question.
But Paul, let me answer that the first part of your question. One of the ways that you could do that, because you got to understand we have several people on here, and not every. It wouldn't be a good conversation if all of us said the same thing. If all of us had the beauty of it, and the beauty of the morning glow, I think, and you all could tell me, is that we have different perspectives. We have people that have different opinions and mindsets, and has went through different things. I think that's what's important, because we, in a gumbo, I don't know if you like gumbo, but I love a good seafood gumbo.
I like it.
I don't want a gumbo with just potato. I can't call it a gumbo if I just have potatoes in there. I gotta have all kind of different things in that gumbo, man. But I put them together, and I slow cook them, or put them in my pressure cooker, and then when it's done, when that thing say beep, and I let that pressure off that pressure cooker, and I get me one of them big ladle spoons. I put it in my bowl, and I give me some crackers or whatever I'm gonna eat with it, man. Or man, look here, that's good. That's good. And so that's one of the reasons why.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the diversity of opinions is crucial, and I respect that. And I think most white people respect that the American Black experience is unique. Nothing like it in human history that I can find, really. That's not to say that other groups haven't suffered immensely, because all groups have suffered immensely. But back to the young woman originally who posted the TikTok and all this stuff that got this conversation started. So the thing was like, why do they hate us? I think that's what she said. So,
yes.
that's a strong word. And I already said in my earlier comment, I don't believe the vast majority of whites in America hate blacks. That's just not my experience whatsoever. But some are indifferent, which is a different thing, and some are want to be, I guess, separate to some degree. But I hear those same ideas coming from a lot of prominent Black people, prominent Black voices that are in the new Black media. So, I mean, if we're going to come together and respect each other, do a better job, we have to respect everybody's individual experience. And if somebody has a different point of view, for example, I think you could say, I think your comment was racist, or I think, I have some questions about your comment and stuff like that. But I'm not saying people are doing that here in this show, but I've definitely in a lot of media, Black media spaces, if somebody has a different point of view, they're labeled a white supremacist, they're labeled a racist, and then the conversation's over,
Mm-hmm.
So if we're going to heal and we're going to respect each other, we can't do that.
Exactly. Okay. I could go with that. Let me go to Curtis. Good morning, sir. How are you doing this morning?
Morning, Rodney. How y'all doing, Morning Go family?
Hey, doing good, brother. Asking a question, man. A young lady posted a TikTok and she asked the question, why do the world, and then I'm paraphrasing the question, why do the world hate Black people so much when we're the ones that has been victimized so much and treated so terribly throughout the annals of time? Curtis, why do the world, United States and the world, hate Black people so much?
Why shouldn't they hate us?
Mm-hmm.
Why shouldn't they hate us? I mean, it's a price to pay when you have the intellectual capital, when you have control, true control of the intellectual capital of the world, when you have the true control of the buying power of the world, when you have the true control of the spiritual power in the world, why wouldn't you be hated? But I do want to add something. And I love Paul. And Paul always brings a point to the table that makes me think,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I do have to say this, Paul. If at some point could you sit down and really evaluate some of the things that you say, because you say when you speak in terms of people having strife, you use a talking point. I hate to say this because I know this is not Paul's character.
Hey, Curtis, do you have your windows down, brother? Because we can hear you, but there's a hiss behind it. There's a real bad hiss behind it.
I just gotta turn my air conditioner on.
Okay.
You used the phrase. He used the phrase of the time, which is when they really don't have an argument, or their argument has been proven to be hoopla. They'll say, we've all experienced something.
Mm-hmm.
And the statement to that is, how many of them have experienced what Black America has experienced? And I connect that to a name. There's a man by the name of Mr. July. He's from, I hope I say this right, Okie, Florida. His first name was Julius. His last name escapes me. They hung that man downtown Okie, Florida, and put a sign on him. This was in the 1920s, I believe. Put a sign on him saying, this nigga is dead because he voted. If you don't believe it, you can look at my page. You can go on my page and you can see. I put a picture up. They hung him in the middle of town and put a sign around his neck that said, this nigga voted. On one side it said, this nigga voted. On the back side it said, this nigga is dead because this nigga voted. Now, I hate to use the N-word. I know, it's a gospel talking jazz radio station. But these are words that has been thrown around negatively on Black America. Lastly, I'll say this right here. I'm going to make it quick. I got out of rehearsal day before yesterday, and I decided I was going to go to the bar and just have me a drink. So now I'm lying down. While I'm sitting there, this Caucasian American sister, she comes in, she sits beside me. She's 2 years older than me. And she started talking to me. And when she started talking, she said, "Oh my God, I can't believe you're that smart." And I asked her why. She says to me, "Well, I don't mean to sound, but you're Black." And then she proceeded to tell me about welfare and this, that, and the third, and she made it all seem like it was a Black issue. That is what we are dealing with. That is what we're dealing with. What we're dealing with is a society that has made every wrongdoing in our country specifically targeted or specifically perpetuated by African Americans, when that is so far from the truth. So, but I get what he's saying. But in order for us to come together and have that he wants, he's so right in saying, look, this is where we should be. He's so right. But in order for us to have that conversation, there is a level of truth that must be told. We can't keep trying to go over, glaze, sugarcoat, or go around, skirt around the truth of what is going on, because then your conversation is based on a lie.
Absolutely. Got to keep it.
I'm laying my plane right there, brother.
Good deal. Got to keep this thing going, man. We got quite a few people. Toya with a T. Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. How y'all doing?
Toya, you see it? You see it?
Oh, yeah. Number 4. That's right. That's what I'm talking about. You know what? I can't see you. Done blinded me. You so sharp over there, boy. What? I got to get my glasses. Gotta get my glass. Gotta get my shades.
Look at him. Look at him.
Y'all better watch out. Y'all got to stay, because this boy ready.
Look, make me want to step back, kill myself. Ow!
That's right.
Toya with a T. We talking about, man, why do the world hate Black people so much? Toya, what do you say to that?
They don't know why. That's the devil. That's the devil. They don't know why. They have no clue or no idea why. Somebody got to hold on.
I got a strong background noise coming from somebody's line. Okay. There we go. I got it. Okay, I got it. Go ahead.
I guess the same reason why we can't put the mute button on, be the same reason why we can't do like Black clothes. I don't know. But no, that is the devil. That is the devil. You understand me? I mean, we can go back to just a brother killing a brother. You know what I'm saying? It's I hate to have to say that we humans don't put it into a flesh perspective, and we use color as a motivator, but it's evil and it's wicked. And anything that is evil and wicked and is coming to steal, kill, and destroy, that is the devil, period. And if a majority of them is white folks, then I mean, it is what it is. Why, I bet the Jews feel some kind of way too about the Germans because of what they've done. You know what I'm saying? Do we know why the Germans had an issue with the Jews? Either way it go, it don't make no difference, because whatever issue you got, it ain't worth slaughtering and killing the whole entire clan. You know what I mean? So it's like, this is what evil does. It ain't whoever has an answer for evil and wickedness. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't think we'll ever get to the root on why people hate Black people. Now, in my personal opinion, from history and stories, one of the ways that they became modern on medicine was pulling us apart while we was alive. Doing all these monstrous things to us while we was alive, talking about in the name of a medicine, in the name of a science, but we was alive with some of the things that they've done. So who knows? You have to put theories in your head to say that a person of a color don't feel pain, and we're going to use that in the name of science to come up with medical cures and things of that nature. You're a devil. You're a devil. In the same way, white folks walk down the street and grab their pocketbook because they work to a black person. You don't have to necessarily have a black person do something to them, but just in the air, just in the theory of black people. Oh, what you see on TV. Now you gotta walk your silly behind outside, act like you gotta grab your pocketbook like your son don't steal from you when you get home. Come on with the jokes. And I think the part that bothers me the most is white folks talking about, oh, black folks, oh, they steal, they this, they that. Hell, y'all do too.
Hey.
You steal, you stole the whole land. What you talking about? We steal. Where we get it from? Y'all. You understand what I'm saying? But I mean, it's wicked and evil. You understand what I'm saying? And if my great-great-grandfather went on a murdering spree and murdered white people, and I met someone's great-grandson right now today, I would have sympathy in my heart because my great-great-grandfather did it. Not try to brush it off. Well, that was 200 years ago. That wasn't me. No, the fact of the matter is that a family member, a generational family member, 4 generations before me, went on a murdering spree and killed your family, which changes everything. So it's not about it happening to me per se. It's just the fact that someone from my family committed atrocious crimes against yours, and I should have some sympathy about it. I should have some empathy about what my family member has done, and not try to just dismiss it, act like it never happened, nor feel like it didn't happen to me. Because right now today, if anybody has kids and your child in a relationship with somebody and that person beats on your child, you're gonna be mad, not because it happened to you, but that is your child and your family member. So you're still going to be mad, you know what I'm saying, about that person doing something to your family member, whether you know them or not. So I just really think that in this day and time, white folks know what white folks did to black folks.
Good deal.
You know what I mean?
So now hold on, preacher. Now, preacher, we gotta keep it moving, preacher. We gotta keep it moving, preacher.
Okay, I'm done.
Preacher that came in on a roll, boy. Look at here, man. Let me go to Bishop. Bishop, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, man. Good morning, everyone.
Man, this is a hot one today, brother. This is a hot one today. And I want to ask you the same question, man. Why do America hate black people so much? Bishop, what do you say to that?
Man, that is a good question. I've heard the response from some other folks and the response of theirs, and it sounds good to me. I don't have a problem with anything. Try to really understand why we're such a hated race. It just goes back to when we were, enslaved and brought to this country, and we were brought here as property. We were sold as animals and livestock. And when we were able to gain our freedom, as some would say, those who brought us here and their lineage and the things that were passed down through conversation is what created the animosity or the hatred towards us as black. I was in the Philippines, and I was talking to a Japanese guy, and he tells me, the reason that you people are hated and the reason we call you nigger. And I said, no, don't use that word in front of me. But he said, well, I'm explaining the reason you're hated is because the white man teaches us to hate you. And I'm like, are you kidding? He said, no. He said, so that's been passed down to generation to generation. So we look at you all as being inferior or being less than. And that saddened me to hear that come from a Japanese fella in a country that, that is not part of the United States of America. But I heard it, and I heard why. And then I said, do you understand? I said, you're looking at the color of my skin. I said, but do you know my heritage? I said, my grandmother is white. I said, my other grandmother is Cherokee Indian. I'm a Cherokee Indian. And so, don't misconstrue what you see as a person or the color of my skin, because I think all of us have some mixture within us. And he, went on to say what he said, but the bottom line is what has been instilled in us from someone else's conversation to make people feel or look at us a certain kind of way. what I see today in America and pretty much across the world is that we think the blacks doing the same thing to their own race, killing one another, hating one another. So when you say America, I'm glad you cover the entire spectrum of this particular country, but let's say the entire world. But you got blacks that look down on us. You got Africans that say you're not real Africans. You're not pure. When I was in college, a lady told me that she was an African woman. And I was just complimenting her, and she seemed like she got offended because I was complimenting her and said, you're not really an African. You were not born there, so you're not this. I'm saying to myself, really? All I can do is shake my head and walk on. So the answers and comments that everyone has is great, and thank you so much for it. But I'm talking about experience from different, nationalities as it relates.
Wow, that's good. That's good. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Mr. Hicks, you've been quiet for a while, sir. What's on your heart?
I got to tell you, you do look sharp in that blue shirt and tie, though.
Don't you start nothing over there now. Watch out there now.
You stepped up your game.
Yes, sir. Had to, man. Had to.
In terms of Frantz Fanon was a psychiatrist that treated people in the Algerian Revolution. And he talked about a psychological thing. It's like a thing that Rico points out later, a subconscious thing. That I feel that more than the white people hating black people, I think it's a fear. It's a fear where you research history, where the people have been persecuted, just generally, just in terms of the Jews under Hitler. Even though the war was ended and they chased people around the world, they still chasing them now. They're going after them still. Think in South Africa, the reconciliation process was an example of what appeared to be a good resolution. But I think that most white people feel when they meet black people that they deal with someone who see themselves as a victim and a victim of them. I think for me going through my process of being a war angel, I believed I was here to destroy. And with the psychology and programming that they put me in that position and to be delivered from that, I see that we feel things. We feel victim as a people, and they feel guilty for the sins of their fathers. I think that by processing these people we see in front of us now, even though we try to make it them that did these things in history, it wasn't them. There's some out there, few over the evolution of time doing these things and thinking this way, but through the annals of time, it's always been an improvement. But I think that the basic thing is fear, because really, there is an underlying anger, there's an underlying psychology that go when you feel that you've been victimized by someone. And if you ever get the upper hand, if you ever get the power back, Frantz Fanon said that there's got to be that blood flowing. And I think it forces white people, it forces black people. I think one of the conversations we had a couple of weeks ago was that if this thing come down to a race war, it won't be whether you're Republican or Democratic. You'll be forced to the corner. You'll be forced to identify with your group that's under attack. And that seems to be, that's always been the design of the enemy. To get people to destroy each other, destroy themselves.
Exactly.
It comes down to me, and real quick, I'll land that plane like Curtis. I'm glad to hear his voice back on here. I'll land this plane.
There you go.
It goes back to the heart. It goes back to the heart. It goes back to you're going to get from people what you put out. When you walk in an area of people, you got hostility, and you have to say it, they feel it.
Exactly. Wow, this is a conversation, man. We got a little more than 30 minutes before we finish this conversation, man. I haven't heard from Rico in a minute. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Man, I think that's huge what Bishop came in and said. He spoke to a Japanese man in the Philippines that still had the sense to recognize where this hostility toward black people came from. I said it earlier, and somebody got offended. I think said it sounded a little racist, but that's what happened. You see it in movies. You see the white people over in China, the British Empire, white people over in Japan running the show, Japanese and Chinese just running in them, serving them. When I saw those movies, I was like, wait a minute, that don't make sense. So I started looking into history, and I'm like, man, that really did happen. They went around and colonized, and the British Empire went and just took over, dominated people on their own continent, even in India, because they felt superior. How can somebody go to another continent, a country, and take over and place themselves in charge of everybody? We are the chosen people. We run the show around here. Yeah, y'all got a culture, y'all got a way of doing things, but y'all don't stop us British and Europeans. Get out of here with your rice buckets, all your stupid culture. Yeah, they've been doing that since Egypt. They've been doing that since a long time ago. And they just stopped doing it in South Africa, apartheid. The people still didn't want to give up their privilege and their advantage and their domination. White superiority.
Yeah.
Now some people don't participate in it. Some people benefit from it and don't realize it. But oh man, that rude awakening, when you do realize that you are participating in it or that you have benefited from it, sometimes it might be a little hard to accept. Oh my God, you mean to tell me that I benefited from that too? Y'all did it too. But see, we can't get nothing fixed like that. We really can't fix anything like that. So what it's going to boil down to is us understanding as a whole that it does come from the heart. It definitely comes from the heart, man. I mean, it doesn't make sense at all for other human beings to go through what they went through, for what we went through, especially. You know, for another race of people that came up with this system of classification to go somewhere else and tell them, okay, we're superior to y'all, but everybody's superior to them people. So now it's still going on. Right now you can see videos of Chinese people in Africa exploiting Africans. And they're doing it because it's profitable too now. See, it's very beneficial to practice white supremacy. Capitalism probably wouldn't survive if it wasn't for it. A lot of people benefiting from it. Even Chinese people benefiting from it now. Exploiting black people. But it still came from a culture and a condition that was created, maintained, like Pete said earlier. And I ain't gonna even say just maintained, it was mandatory. That if you didn't practice it, we'll kill you too. You're gonna bow down to this empire and this belief system. You're gonna bow down to this behavior.
Come on.
That of how we do things. Now we're gonna put some laws in place, but at the same time, we're gonna show you that how these laws don't apply to us because we're superior. We're gonna teach you double standards. And we ask ourselves, why do they hate us? Well, we know why they hate us. We know how they hate us and how it happens. Now it's just time for some people to accept accountability, swallow their pride, and get over the fact that even though it might not have come from their hands, they need to talk to some of the people in their communities that still believe this thing. Absolutely. I think about James Byrd. See, it's going to be hard for somebody to go against that. White supremacy will kill you when you go against it. So I think about James Byrd, Sr. One of those guys that was convicted and executed for killing him was his friend. But one of the guys was an extreme racist. And what that man did not do was tell that extreme racist, wait a minute, you wrong, stop it. You're going to have to fight me too. That's another human being. What that man did, James Byrd Sr.'s friend, was allowed that racist to tie him to the back of the truck and then got in the cab and rode with him as he drug him around town for about 4 miles till his head came off. He didn't step up and stop it. Somebody got to step up and stop it. Quit pointing the finger about how everybody been done wrong. Accept history for what it is, because there's been some very savage and barbaric things that white people have done, and it's time for white people to step up and say, you know what, it's wrong. It's too much to learn. Too many massacres. The Ocoee massacre. It was 20 people died when that man July Perry got killed in Ocoee. It was 19 more people got killed.
Good deal.
So I mean, man, we need to know the history and accept it, address it, people accountable. It ain't really got to be no persecution or prosecution. just a change of the mindset and change of the condition.
Good deal. Stay right there, Rico. We got to keep this thing moving, man. Leonard, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Raheem. In the morning, go family.
Leonard, asking a question, man. I pulled up something. Well, I was actually sent something on TikTok. A young lady, 24, 25 years old, somewhere around the age range. She's my baby girl, and she was asking a question. Why? Well, she said, "Why do United States and the world? Why do the world hate black?" Well, she said black and brown, but she was emphasizing on black people. So, Leonard, from your expertise, why do the world hate black people so much?
Well, first of all, I don't have no expertise in why, anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But one, that people do hate, and the reason why they hate really is not my issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because people will tell you anything.
Mm-hmm.
People hate you for anything.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not do the world hate black people. It is why are black people hated?
Mm-hmm.
Why do some people hate black people?
Okay.
Let those people that hate black people tell you why they hate you.
So you think they're gonna tell you?
Because if I don't like you, I'm gonna tell you why I don't like you.
But do you think these individuals that we're talking about, Leonard, these individuals that we're talking about, do you think they're gonna come up and tell you why they don't like you or why they hate you?
Oh yes, when they give them the forum, they do tell you.
Mm.
Like I say, when they all the things you've seen in all the media and things like that you have, go look it up. They'll tell you.
Mm-hmm.
And see, that's the thing about it. I think you get things confused. There are some people that believe in reconciliation and some people don't.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to take the notion that everybody hates you because you're black, I mean, that's your choice. But guess what? Then there's no resolution because you're always going to be black.
Mm-hmm.
So you see how that trap works?
But my thing is this right here. Looking at history, and we've been speaking a lot about history today. History has said that there is a hate for black people throughout in United States of America and in the world. I mean, we could get to a point where we could say, well, if you feel that way, blah, 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 or blah, we could do all these things to try to curb it, but that's not going to change the acts of history. History has shown that.
What fool tries to change history? That's a foolish notion. You change your present and your future.
Mm-hmm. And how do we do that? How do we get to a place where the world is not hating black people? How do we get to that? How do we change that reality?
You won't get to that.
So what is it?
I don't even understand the rationality in that.
Whoa. You say we won't get there, but you just said
no.
Okay.
No. Because there'll always be people that hate you for their own reasons.
So in what you're just saying, you are admitting that they do hate black people.
Oh yeah, there's plenty of people that hate black people.
Okay. Because
but
go ahead.
The thing about it is, what are you going to do about it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you just living for somebody to like you?
Everybody want to be loved, Leonard. I can't think of nobody that don't want to be loved.
Well, I mean, that's personal.
Mm-hmm.
But one, two, more so is like when people were talking. I believe I was on for about 5 minutes. You're not even looking at power and why people lust for power.
Mm-hmm.
People do what they do because they can.
Mm.
Because people allow them to do it. See, if you get in a fight, you either win or you lose.
Mm-hmm.
So you're going to have to fight. If you choose not to fight, you will always be the victim.
Okay. Let me go now, Captain. Captain, what's on your heart?
Man, I'm in your town. I'm in Saginaw, Dr. Leonard.
Careful, be very careful.
I can understand why you got that mentality. I clearly now know why you think the way you think. Listen. Anyway, family, let me say this. I want you to know that when you say everybody want to be loved, it's personal. No, Leonard, everybody want to be loved is universal. That ain't personal. That's human nature. It got nothing to do with color, race, creed, class. Universal human beings. Every human, white folks, black folks, poor, everybody wants to be loved. So that's not personal. Let me get to what you said. Again, I want to say this to Paul. Paul, you always want to say that we need to go along, get along. Can everybody just get along? Why don't we? See, it ain't all the time trying to get along with white people. It's about trying to understand. What's wrong with us trying to understand why white people do what they do? What's wrong with y'all trying to understand why black people do what they do? If we understand, then we can get along. We can never get along if we don't understand. So we on this show dealing with some, we peeling back the onion now. We peeling back the onion. Sometimes you don't like what's being said, but hey, I like what Curtis said. I mean, look here, it's the truth. If we gotta keep trying to sweeten it, trying to please people, and when people, listen, y'all sit there and want to say, we the Muslims in the Nation of Islam, we were the ones that said the white man is the devil. And we still stand on that. But you say, well, there's some black devils. Yes. If there was some black devils, they was made devils by the white devil. Sister Toya said it. She said the majority of evil come from out of white people. If it's the devil and the majority of white people, then you land where you land. We're not saying white people are inherently evil. But hell, they're not inherently saintly either. They're not inherently saintly either. History of Caucasian people. It's a brutal history. I didn't make that history. Look at the Crusades, the Christian Crusades. Your history, your hands is full of blood. I didn't make that history. Your own kind, your own people. That's your history. You would never see darker people's history that have dominated white people with this kind of atrocity that you have afflicted. You look at me, the Muslims, all the white people look at. Did you hear what Curtis said? Did you hear how that person was hung? Did you hear what Brother Rico said? Did you see some of the brutal things that was done and how you threw the babies into the alley? See, I didn't say that. But it's true history. And everybody on here got a horrible story. And we all can tell stories. So it may not have nothing to do with you, Paul. And you want to be able to say, well, you know, that's unfair. But the reality is, we don't want to get along with you. We want to understand you. And once we understand you, then we can get along with you. But we can't get along until we understand his behavior. Let's talk about the behavior. Once you make me understand why you do what you do, oh, okay. We ask my child, how come, Dad, I can't have a snake? Well, son, you can't have a snake because the snake do this. So once you teach the child and tell them you understand, snakes are not supposed to be dominated. You're not supposed to keep snakes. Oh, now I understand why I can't have a snake, Dad. Okay, I don't need one. All I'm saying is, don't wear your personal sleeve, and let's deal with the raw niggas. It's the truth. We not hate nobody because of this. I don't hate no white people. That's the I put my hand on the Holy Quran. I do not hate white people. So you better forget about that. You know why I don't hate white people? Because I understand white people. I know their nature. I know their origin. I know who they are. You can't get mad at a dog for being a dog. Man, I don't like that. How you gonna get mad at the dog because his cock is laid up to the fire hydrant? Look at that. Look at that. No. You can't put that at Captain Bennett's doorstep. You're not gonna influence me. And I wouldn't care if you hate me or not. Because as long as I love myself, then I'll treat you like another human being because I'm a human being. I would never do to another human being what I want another human being to do to me. I treat people the way I want to be treated. We're all trying to get along. Some of us just need to understand. Stop trying to think you got to always get along. Understand them. If you know your why, then you got to understand your what.
Hey,
Thank
Captain.
you so much.
Okay, Captain. Paul, he posted something in the chat here. I think he's hung up. But he's still actually listening. And he says, I can read this thing. He said, white people have the same nature as black people. We are all flawed.
If that's the case, how come they dominate us and did no more to us if we got the same nature? That's a lie. We don't have the same nature. Get out of that crazy madness. I'm not going to accept that, Paul. We got a humble nature. That's why y'all dominate us. We got a loving nature. That's why y'all take advantage of us. That's right. That in our heart. That's the fear. You fear we're going to do to y'all what y'all did to us. That ain't the nature of black people. So we don't have the same nature. Fuck that. Take that somewhere else.
Good deal. Let me go to Pete. Pete, what's on your heart, brother? Pete, you there?
Well, yeah, I'm here. Well, again, we're discussing domination. That's what we're discussing. And the question for us is, are we going to continue to accept domination? That's the question. Are you willing to go along, to get along, to allow others to have most to all and do most to anything, and you accept the leftovers in their preference, their preferred existence? Now that's not every light-skinned person in the world. It's the powerful people in the system that desires to have a system in place to dominate. So we asked for a George Floyd crime bill. They gave us a holiday. So we all went out, and whoever went out and participated, and you celebrated Juneteenth. You celebrated them acknowledging that they lied to some of your ancestors about when they had some relief, and they made it a holiday. But we still have not gotten the George Floyd crime bill passed. You give the Island Pacific landers a bill, a law. We still don't have a bill. We still don't have a law passed. We have states that are gathering gang databases, creating them, and it's illegal to just further police you, antagonize you, accuse you, indict you, charge you, and incarcerate you, and it's all about money, period. The enforcers of the law violate the law more than those that they enforce the law on a daily basis in this society. It's an atrocity, a high hypocrisy, and an insult. Anytime we have a nation that say it's governed by laws, and they pass a law that says these and those and them are qualified immune from prosecution, then you are not a nation governed by laws. So this is not the antiquity violations, it's the present day violations. That's the point. The issue is domination. Are you willing to accept domination or not? And if not, what are you willing to do to no longer be dominated by anybody else? We can sit down at a table and have a conversation. But if I must be subject to you, subjugated by you, denigrated by you, put into a smaller position, a weaker position, a more vulnerable position to your preference, I'm not, and you're unwilling to accept that, then what does that look like? What does that take? What is that? What's the reality of that? We have to come to a point where we say we will no longer accept domination. Yes, we want to be civil. Yes, we want to be just. Yes, we want to have all these excellent morals, principles, and character, and all of that. But if I have to stand at the back, I have to wait till the last. I have to take the least, man, to help lead somewhere else with what you're talking about. You understand? And that you should not be tolerating that at all. So it's not to throw insults and accusations at other people. We're talking about the subject is, why do they hate us? Listen, you could care less about anybody that hates me, and especially as long as they keep it to themselves. If you're teaching it to others, that's an issue of concern for me, because that's a continuation of it. Now you're making me get in the mind frame that your woman is a baby-making hateful machine, and I might need to terminate you and her. So I no longer have to deal with the continuation of your ignorance, your insolence, and your nonsense. So don't create that scenario and then force me to go into that mindset. See,
wow.
And again, it's not high emotion. It's none of that. It's factual. It's the truth. How long are we willing to accept domination? You keep begging, pleading, asking, praying, procrastinating, doing all hoping. Look, do you know how to take your hand and slap somebody? Do you know how to grab somebody around their shirt and say this is what it is and it ain't gonna be nothing else? See, now we can have a real conversation. We're getting a kickback right now in this nation because of all that protesting that went on during this pandemic. We're getting a hostile kickback. Get things back in order. We got to get things back in line. We got to straighten things back out. We got to make sure people understand. Look, we don't understand, and we do understand. We don't understand none of the nonsense that you're running, and we understand that you're running nonsense. Now, how long are we willing to accept domination? If you hate me, that's your issue. It only becomes an issue for me when you express it to me, and then I have a duty and a responsibility as a being to myself and all of mine to deal directly with you. And if you're hostile, you're aggressive, you're insultive, or you're threatening, to immediately no other option than neutralize you as an existing threat to my existence. Period. Period.
Absolutely.
Now
Absolutely.
we can have a real conversation now. Now we can have a real conversation now. Now we can get some clarity now. Why? Because I'm not willing to tolerate none of that. And I'm not willing to die for what I believe in. But understand, I'm willing to kill, and specifically you, for what I believe in.
Wow.
Just
508.
grab your balls. Don't let nobody take your manhood. And don't let nobody take your vaginal fortitude. Stand up. Stop bending over.
508. Well, this is Thursday. This is Thursday, y'all. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Willow, good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
Hey, Raheem.
It's
hey,
heavy.
Morning Glow.
It's
How
heavy.
y'all doing this morning?
Hey, Willow, it's heavy. It's heavy. It's heavy. Are you sure Willow, you want to be a part of this one? It's heavy now.
You know what, Raheem, honestly, you know my heart.
Yeah.
I started to not call in to be a part of that. I was just going to do your prayer. Because, when I think about the question, and I always remember what you said, we got to stick to the subject. Okay? So the subject is, why do white people hate black people?
Why do America?
Right?
Why do the world? Well, why do the world? Why do the world actually hate black people?
The world.
Yes.
Okay. So when you say the world, that consists of a lot of cultures, including ourselves. Including ourselves. Now, I've been listening to a lot of the history. The history is something that we all should remember because we don't want to repeat history. But it reminds me of a football coach who has the film and he goes over the film to see what mistakes we made, see how we could change things and better it to be a better team. So I look at America as a team. And I look at the people that are part of the team. And I'm hearing mostly a lot of people speaking of the white culture because we do know what has happened. And we certainly can't change that. But I want to know, I can't even answer today, Raheem, on why we're hating each other as a culture. So I can't answer on why, because the Bible tells us that we're going to have that kind of behavior to the end of time. Because I know for myself that I love people, and it's not based on the color of their skin, whatever religion they're doing. It's based on how they treat me or my family or other individuals. And I look at today, Raheem. And I'm telling you this, Raheem, that our culture, not everybody, trust me on that, is not showing that they were wrong. Because look at us, Raheem, today. We got more killers in Chicago ever in the history of America, just in Chicago alone. And you better believe most of them was by your own culture. You're messing with elderly people. You're killing, no respect. You're walking around with your drawers where I can see your drawers and the way things, So that's why I didn't want to call in, because I even get louder. So if I tell you what's on my heart right now, Raheem, I'm telling you, a lot of people say, "Oh, I didn't know that about Miss Willow." So that's all I got to say right now, Raheem.
Good deal. Good deal.
Can I hop in?
Yes, go on. We're going to come to you right now. What's on your heart, Badger?
I'm actually kind of in the same boat as Willa, because what I've been, so when I heard you ask why, that's what I focused on, because in all the experiences I've had and all of the toxic teachings and all that nonsense that I unfortunately experienced, as far as why one group hates another group, was insane. Here I am, 30 years old, 6 years ago, excuse me, 5-6 years ago, calling Texas Medicaid, having someone tell me on the phone that because me and my wife are classified as white, she doesn't get health insurance because she's not black or Native American. State representative for Texas Medicaid How is a person supposed to respond to that?
Badger, help me. I'm a little sidetracked here. I'm trying to
Okay,
tie together how they have
so
to do with America hating black people.
so once again, I'm going to share this and hopefully people will listen. I grew up, went to a Southern Baptist church, pastors on the pulpit. It's Sunday service, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's this white pastor telling the white congregation that we should hate black people because of the mark of Cain. Here's going to school, having teachers tell me this. It's going to be harder for you to get into college because you don't have access to grants that black people do. And I can give more examples if anyone wants to hear them.
Mm-hmm.
So, however, when I got to middle school and high school, I started observing and started figuring out that what I was told was incorrect. And it was hard for me, and I'm still having a struggle of understanding why other people couldn't see that it was a lie. It was a tool of separation. It was a tool of promoting hatred and jealousy and envy toward another group of people just because of the color of their skin. So when anyone on here thinks that I don't know about systematic racism, I experienced it from the other side of them trying to make me a hateful human being toward black people.
Okay.
And I said no.
Mm-hmm.
So don't judge me or don't think that I don't know what all this is. I acknowledge it. I know it exists, and I refuse to own it. And I work very hard at fighting any white person that doesn't know any better and educating them, because it's an ignorance.
See,
when you are surrounded with a teaching that doesn't make sense.
But Badger, let me say that's a perfect start, because what you said is what we said earlier about what Cassandra actually said earlier, when she was saying that what we need to do is and I think Rico said it as well, talk to you and Paul, and make sure that you go out there and talk to the people that's in you all circle that we may not be privy to have the conversation with, because a lot of people just are not comfortable having that conversation with us. They're not comfortable having that conversation with us at all.
I've done it all the time. And you want to know why a lot of them ain't comfortable with it? Because when they're trying to find a solution to overcome the issues, there are a lot of people that start bringing up the past and start harping on the past, when a lot of them are focused on the present, figuring out who is still holding on to that systematic racism crap so we can get rid of it.
Okay, that's good.
So when there's a group of people that's trying to focus on a solution and they constantly get derailed, it's hard to have a conversation.
You know what? We actually we only got 10 minutes, man, and there's so many people that want to has so much to say. We have to continue this. We have to continue this one tomorrow. We're gonna definitely have to continue this tomorrow. Somebody want to say something? Who's that want to say something?
Yeah, that's me, Ryan Joseph. I love what Badger said, and it was very big of him to really open that up and share that, because that's the very thing that Dr. King was addressing in the letter from the Birmingham jail when he was talking to the white ministers, who was telling him that he was an outside agitator. And he pretty much, addressed the Reformed Church. Those were those churches that broke away from the North over slavery in 1845. The majority of those Reformed churches. And that's how they was teaching that black folks were cursed by Noah's curse to Canaan and so on and so forth. Just a twisted theology. And, Dr. Miles Monroe once said that if you do not know your purpose, someone will use you for their purpose. Our ancestors were kidnapped from Africa and brought to this land for the purpose of generating wealth for the European settlers that were here. Okay. Now, Marcus Garvey had a purpose. His purpose was to round up all those black folks throughout the diaspora and get them to trade with each other and leverage their resources and build their resources to counter that lie and myth about black folks, and which I think we should continue to do to this day.
whether we elevate our issues and concerns to the United Nations and begin to confront all of those negative forces that has been a part of our experience, and that we make our laws that counters any of the systemic or structural racism that continues to hinder our progress and development, because that's our purpose. We were born with our purpose. We didn't ask for it. History gave it to us. You know, we have a purpose to look out for ourselves. You know, just like those Jews who were massacred in Germany, now they have Israel, and their purpose is to have a state where they control their affairs and so on and so forth. Black people throughout the diaspora, South America, North America, island nations, wherever we are on the planet, whatever our experience has been, even back on the continent who's been colonized and exploited, we have a purpose. Our purpose must be to maintain and protect our existence, our humanity, our progress. And whether we in the United States or anywhere else, that is our purpose. We that is a prime purpose. So it doesn't matter who says what, how they hate us. I think the black churchman in the 60s said that love without power renders a people a beggarly people.
Wow.
You can have all the love you want. You ain't got no power. You're just another beggarly people asking somebody to do for you what you can do for yourself. So these are black folks in the 60s said this, black American scholars. And I learned this over at ITC, Interdenominational Theological Center. Never heard this before. Never ran into that kind of thinking before. Didn't know black folks thinking on that level. But see, the more I learn, I don't know much of anything.
Exactly. Stay right there, brother. We got to keep this thing. You got to keep this thing going. And for everybody that's on here, man, and anybody else that want to be a part of this conversation, we're going to continue this conversation tomorrow. We're going to continue this conversation tomorrow. We're going to pull some more layers back. It's been good, and I only imagine where it's gonna go tomorrow, knowing, because a lot of times y'all don't know what the topic gonna be the next day, and so now that y'all know what the topic's gonna be tomorrow, I can't wait to see the ammunition y'all gonna come with tomorrow. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Let me go to Kay with the E. She been holding on for a minute. Kay, what's on your heart, sis?
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Oh, blessing everyone.
Talk to me, sis. Why do the world hate black people?
Because like everybody else has said, we hate ourselves first of all. So they always say love thyself.
Do you think that
the reason for that could be a saying?
Kay, let me ask you this. Kay, let me ask you this question. Kay, let me ask you this question. And I can agree. I'm not going to say that you're wrong in saying that. But is that a birth child? When you say we hate each other and we do these different things to each other, black on black crime and all this thing, is that a birth child of history? And what's been happening to us through our history, how we've been made to do certain things as slave people. Now, we're not slaves today, and I never say that I'm a slave today, but we do have a history of that. Can that be a birth child of that, us hating each other and the Jim Crow and all these different things, or whatever it is? Is that a birth child?
No, that should be a love talking. We don't love each other because they didn't. We should love each other more just because of what our people went through, our ancestors went through. We should love each other more. We should want to beat each other. We should want to beat our children. We should want to kill each other. We should want to self-medicate ourselves with drugs because they do that themselves. Nobody put guns to people's head and say, get on these drugs. They used to have pimps back in the day. Nowadays, they just out there by themselves. So nobody's making them do that neither. They don't even got a pimp.
Okay. Good deal. Rico, what's on your heart, brother? Toya with a T coming to you next.
I think it comes down to every human being, since we talking about around the world, this concept, I mean, this perception. It's not even a perception, a true fact that black people have been sort of demonized and oppressed around the world. Even on the continent of Africa, people, black people are being done like that. But Willa brought up an important factor, an important point, and that's the fact that we treat ourselves a certain way. So even within our community and everybody else's, we have to understand that psychological conditioning that we don't went through, that subconscious programming that we have to break away from. Once again, we have to,
and that's why I asked, was it a birth child of the treatment that we had in the past? on how we got here?
Well, see, this is what happens when you dominate and you control resources to a point to where people have to depend on you. Then you better adore and favor those people, or they might not give you some of the things that you need because you depend on them. Then you say, well, you know what? Let's get self-sufficient. Let's not be codependent, and we do for ourselves and their system. Then they come in and they won't bomb you. Tulsa, boom, boom, Black Wall Street, ha ha. See if you make it now. Now you get to a point where you say, well, you know what? We might need to conform and adapt and go along with the way, their way of life and their culture. Mouse ain't that bad. Cause Mouse will give out a little crumbs and give you a little leeway, give you a little advantage, a little access, a little exposure to just the normal things that people should have, even if it's peace. Can you imagine just needing to bow down and accept the white Jesus and white is right and white is better just so you can live, so you can have some peace, so your child won't be fed to an alligator because they ain't feeding white babies to alligators. You act out of order in this system, this capitalistic system that we contribute $4 trillion to a year. Because we have been conditioned to consume and be dependent on their food, their fast food, distracted so we can also depend on feeding our children, but at the same time, live a fun, recreational life, entertain ourselves, and just have a good old time in this system.
Wow.
Continuing to make this system successful. At the same time, we can't jog through certain neighborhoods without getting killed. Or we can't have police training target practice without using black faces, still with this psychological program and this conditioning that black people are bad. That still exists. So there's a cause and effect from that. The gumbo you was talking about earlier with all the different opinions, man, that's what's making white supremacy exist, the control, the dominance, the self-preservation. It's more than one reason behind the reason why they hate black people and why white supremacy is necessary for that hate. Because that's where it comes from. So, I mean, you know, man, it's going to probably get a lot deeper tomorrow. But when we start talking about the black on black crime, you know, sometimes we still have to get the crumbs from the people that's in our environment and that got them. Because we know some people are off limits. And one thing you better not do, you better not go over there and mess with them white folk. They're going to kill you.
Good deal.
See, we've been conditioned to shut our mouths and settle too at the same time.
Exactly.
That's what people had to do to survive and live. So I mean, you know, that conditioning, man, we got to learn how to break it.
Exactly. Toya with a T. Give me your quick version, sis. I'm gonna try to touch maybe one or two more people before we get out of here. So what's on your heart, sis? Talk to me.
Yeah, no, Rico hit the nail on the head. It ain't much I can say behind that, but I think, you know, that's what he's talking about. When we do in the flesh, we got a spiritual realm we got to worry about too, and this is good versus evil. And we got to know the difference between the two, and some of us we don't, and we getting caught up in the system. So all of the blame is not about race. It is sometimes about the choices and decisions that we're deciding to make and indulge in evil as well. You understand what I'm saying? So we have to be really careful of pointing a finger and make sure when we review everything, we're reviewing ourselves too, because some situations can be avoided. You know what I'm saying? Even if it's not right. For instance, I know I can't walk outside in a short skirt because a man might want to do something to me. So I got to make the sacrifice of making sure I don't entertain that because it happens. Not fight the fact that people are like that, you know? So we have to be very mindful about everything we do in life and, you know, be willing to fight whatever cause, as long as it's for good. But thank y'all. Love y'all so much. Appreciate y'all so much. Keep on doing what you're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. Love you as well, sis. We're gonna keep this thing going. Let me see who I got left on the phone. Let me go to Bishop. Bishop, what's on your heart?
I'm gonna tell you, I thought we were just saying how you make it plain. I appreciate, you know, and I look forward to just being on the show tomorrow. I know time is of the essence, so I'm looking forward to this continued conversation.
Absolutely, good deal, good deal. Curtis, what's on your heart, brother? Real quick.
You know, Raheem, I heard the whole conversation. Forgive me because I'm at the hospital right now.
You okay, brother?
But I heard, yeah, you know, regular visit.
Okay.
I heard everything that was said. I heard what Badger was saying, and I'm reminded of a name. Her name is Annie Merrill McNeil. And when we speak on white supremacy and white hate, and we speak from a perspective of, what's the word I'm looking for? Of perpetuated circumstances, right? I'm reminded of the fact that white supremacy perpetuated Annie Merrill McNeil's ability to not only have an income but provide for her family.
Mm-hmm.
Because not only did they not allow for her to go to school, but they worked feverishly to take her father's property. Not only did they do that, but they put the fear of God in her to then go back and request that property, so she never went back to claim her birthright.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to understand not only the tangible and physical things that happen in the midst of all of that, but we have to understand and have a conversation about the psychological things that go on in the midst of that. We have to understand
Mm-hmm.
how
Because
some things are not done physically,
mm-hmm.
but are done mentally, and how that causes a ripple effect.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So
Good deal. Good deal. I wanted to go to Leonard. Leonard, I had him next to go to, but he done hung up on us. So hopefully we'll be able to, catch him with his end thought tomorrow. But that's it.
Raheem,
Yes. Yes.
I don't know who watched Raising Cain, but I sat down the other day and watched it. And on that episode, it's funny how you're talking about this. So you need to look that up and play that clip report right there, where his mother told Cain, stay away from that white girl. They'll kill you. Behind that white girl, you get killed. It's been like that, and it'll always be like that. But you need that little clipping right there. It's amazing that we're on this conversation today. I just watched it too. It's like, wow.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
What's Raising Cain?
It's a movie.
I never heard of it.
It's a series.
Yeah, I mean, a TV show.
Yeah. A TV show.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm about to seeking out, pulled it up. But we're going to get out of here, man. It's been a great broadcast, man. We're going to continue this broadcast, this topic tomorrow. We're going to continue this topic tomorrow. I can't wait to see where we're going to go. So if all of y'all are available tomorrow, please come back on and let's continue this conversation tomorrow. And let's just see where it go. But as far as right now, Rico, what's going on at 3:00 today, sir?
If you missed today's broadcast and would like to hear us see the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dkmmediagroup.com.
Now, Rico, can you see it, brother?
Yeah, man, you show up again, man. You show up again, man. Hey, hey, man, it's going down, ain't it?
Yes, sir. I told you I got a closet full of them, brother. I'm trying to look here. I'm gonna try to give me a different one every day. I'm trying not to repeat. But
hey, man, that was good advice your wife gave you, man. That I mean,
it's a better look at it.
Yeah, it's official. Make it official.
See, I'm gonna tell you said that, boy. Look here, I ain't gonna never hear the end of it. When I tell her, I say, man, look here, Rico, and a couple of people said, man, it looks so much better with me having a tie. She said, I've been telling you, you know how the women get, man. I've been telling you all the time you wearing that. They see what I'm saying? You see what I'm saying? You heard it in the background. Mm-hmm.
Boy, hey, you might be able to do one casual Friday. Do like I think what's his name, Roland Martin. I think he has one day that he goes casual, or he might go casual every now and then. So you might be able to do you one casual day. But I think that's a good idea. What
Look here. So I'm gonna come in here tomorrow with my wife beater on.
No, way back Friday. What's wrong with
as a matter of fact, I'm gonna come in here with a black wife beater on tomorrow, Rico. That's what I'm gonna do tomorrow. I'm gonna have a black. Told you with a T. I'm gonna have a black wife beater on tomorrow.
Don't do that, Raheem. Don't do it. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Hey, Raheem, with a tie.
There you go. What a tie. Exactly. Look, there you go.
We need
We need Willa with the prayer to pray that you don't do that tomorrow.
You know what? I'm gonna have my black wife beat on and a bow tie. Rico. Okay. Let me see. Is Tucson? Oh, Tucson hung up. I'm gonna go to
You say
Tucson.
a bow tie, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Man, nah, you might want to go to wear a double-breasted jacket. Go old school with it.
I'm saying you're wearing a wife beater and a tie. Are you going to a shindig?
Yo, oh man, look at here, man. We about to do it big tomorrow, brother. Y'all gotta understand we're doing it big tomorrow. But I gotta ask a question. I got a question real quick. Can I ask y'all a question? Is she here?
Sure.
Is she here? Willa!
Right here, mommy, here. Let's go.
I got Willa now. Willa! Are you
Raheem, let's go.
Are you ready?
I'm ready, Raheem. I am so ready to receive God's word this morning.
Well, you know what?
I'm ready, Raheem.
Well, you know what? You know what? Let's go.
Raheem, let's go to the throne of grace this morning, to the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. First, we want to say, God, forgive us, Lord, if there's been anything that we have said, anything we've done or thought that has been displeasing to you in your eyesight. Father, we're asking for your forgiveness. We're asking you, oh Lord, to clean us up of all our unrighteousness, Lord. Father, touch us in a mighty way. Line us up back with your will, Lord, because we know that you orchestrate and plan all things in our lives, Lord. Father, we're asking you in the name of Jesus to give us that understanding that we need, oh Lord, to go through this evil and wicked world. Father, we already know that you can do it. Father, we believe that you can do anything but fail us. Father, we trust you in a mighty way. You said it in your word that no weapon formed against us will prosper. You said to cast all our cares upon you because you care for us. Father, I believe it and I stand on your words and your words alone. Father, I trust no man, but I trust you. Father, I thank you so much. Father, I'm asking you to touch Curtis, oh Lord. Father, whatever he's going through, oh Lord, Father, you know every doctor or nurse that touches his body, oh Lord. I'm asking you to heal him, Lord, from his head to his toe. Father, I believe that you can do it. You said that by your stripes that we're healed. And Father, I believe that we're healed in a mighty way. Father, thank you for allowing us to commune one to another. I thank you, Lord, for allowing us to get up this morning. Father, touch Raheem and his family. Keep us safe. In Jesus' name, amen, amen, and amen. Thank you, Lord, for what you do in our lives. Amen.
We go in that place right now. I can see it, brother. I can see it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Listen, it's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And keep in mind that we will be continuing this conversation tomorrow. Why do the world hate black people? We're going to continue this conversation tomorrow. There's so many different layers on this thing, man. Does anybody have anything they want to say real quickly? Please, real quickly before we get out of here.
We might need to make that delivery a little different. Well, maybe you should say why there's so much hate in the world for black people.
Mm-hmm.
Because I can see where somebody might be like, oh man, that ain't go trying to act like everybody hate them. Everybody hate them. And now why is there so much hate in the world for us?
Mm-hmm.
So
anybody else?
Be a better way to do it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay. Good deal. Good deal. Well, with that being said, what time is it? Let me see. 10, 11. God almighty, I done went over. God almighty. Hush, Rico. What my mute button at? Hold on. No. Let me get my hand ready because I know you. There you go. Listen, it's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DK, your media group and associates, and the Morning Glow for being a part of your morning. It is now 10:12. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody, and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you could do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. That we shine some of this light in you from the morning glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in, and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day, and please, please, please be blessed. Love you. Take care of each other. See you tomorrow. God say the same. Rico, you forgot your salute, brother. You forgot your salute. Usually when I say have a great day, you usually do your little salute. You don't forget your salute. You done messed it up, man. Done messed up the flow of things. God almighty. Take care of each other, y'all. Have a great evening. Love you.